Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy KCM What Ifs. Today we are gonna be reading the Sharingan Devil, or what if Naruto had the Sharingan and was a captain of the ANBU. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Itachi was a little intrigued when he found his partner sitting on a tree top. His eyes shifted towards the dark sky waiting to be illuminated by the sun, which was about to arise in a few minutes. In the few weeks that he had known Naruto, the boy usually didn't get up so early, and this intrigued Itachi. Which even for him was a rare thing. As the man slowly started to climb the tall tree, he wondered just how much interest he was regaining in life and the world. A month ago, he was a shell. A body without a soul waiting to be freed by Sasuke, and atone for his sins. And he still wanted to atone for them, but something was changing inside of him. He was still willing to die by his little brother's hands, yet at the same time his heart was urging him to look at life from a different perspective. To see the world from the eyes of just Itachi, a young simple boy, and not an ANBU captain, an Uchiha, or anything like that. And for the first time in his long miserable life, it made him happy, and it all happened due to the young boy who changed Itachi's entire life. Naruto, said Itachi in a very hushed voice, as he reached the top of the tree and slowly sat beside the boy. And surprisingly, Naruto had a peaceful smile on his face, a very beautiful smile. Shoo. Just look. Feel it, Itachi, replied Naruto in a very peaceful voice. Feel what? Asked Itachi curiously, as Naruto pointed his finger at the far end of the sky where the sun slowly started to rise. Before Itachi could ask another question, a wild cool breeze flew past him, sending sparkling sensations across his entire body. Minute tremors passed through the lake, making the water move slowly, and the sky that was dark before slowly started to become bright as the magnificent sun slowly started to rise up in the sky. It's beautiful, said an amazed Itachi, and Naruto chuckled when he saw a small smile on the Uchiha's face. Maybe life is not as dark as we imagine it to be, Itachi, said Naruto in a very happy tone, and slowly inhaled the fresh air which nature was showering over him as a nectar, which was slowly rejuvenating his dull life. What do you mean? Asked Itachi curiously, even though he was a little pleased to see the improvement in Naruto's morale. Maybe the arrival of the Senju woman had sparked some hope in the boy, or maybe Naruto had finally found his peace, or something else. Whatever it was, Naruto looked to be very happy and hopeful for a very long time. We spend our entire lives not saying the things we want to say. Things which should be said, always hiding behind signals, perceptions, and all such things. You once asked me what I wanted to do if I survived this mission, asked Naruto quietly. Yes. I've done some terrible things in life, things which I'm not proud of. But I also did things that protected people. I can't change my past and the actions that I have performed. All my life, I lived by the ANBU code and put the village above everything else, even above my family. I don't know if it was right or wrong, I don't know how this world would change after all this. The only thing I know, and the only thing I am gonna do, is tell Kakashi, Anko, Sasuke, Sakura, Konohamaru, Emiko, Nono, Tsunade, Hiruzen, my rookie classmates, and Kurenai in plain and simple words, that I love all of them very much, and I will dedicate my entire life to love and protect them, and atone for my sins in this way. This is what I want if I survive this mission, explained Naruto proudly, as the rays of the morning sun hit the boy's face and showed Itachi the feelings in his eyes. Is this your final choice? Asked Itachi curiously, only to receive a bright smile from Naruto. I'm going to take Nono's advice and retire from ANBU. I have lived in the shadows for too long. I want to go back to my family, go back to my home, no matter what darkness awaits me. I am going back to my family, said Naruto in a very happy voice. So, have you forgiven yourself for the things that happened in your past? Asked Itachi in a very straightforward manner, as he too wanted to know the answer which might change his outlook towards life. No, I can't ever forgive myself. My best friends Shin and Sai are still dead, the blood of innocence is still on my hands, and there is nothing I can say that can justify it. But I'm tired, Itachi, tired of this life, all these lies that I've said to my family. But not anymore. If I survive this mission, I will live my life on own terms as Naruto Hatake, the person who I was before all this shit happened, explained Naruto. He was surprised when Itachi averted his eyes from him, and became silent for the next few minutes. Though Naruto knew what his partner was going through, because Itachi was the only person in the world who had been through that hellish life. I'm happy for you, Naruto congratulated Itachi, and offered his hand to Naruto, which the boy shook happily. It's never too late, Itachi, maybe you should do the same thing with Sasuke. It will give him peace, it'll give you peace in a lifetime of war. Advised Naruto, and he didn't back down when Itachi glared at him. Hokage-sama has ordered you to go to Suna, find out what's happening there and report back to me. Said Itachi quickly, making Naruto laugh as the boy could clearly see how insecure Itachi was about his actions with Sasuke. I'll do that, but think about what I said, requested Naruto, and what will happen if I do that? Huh? Asked Itachi in an angry voice. It's the right thing to do. It's easy for you to say, you can still go back, but what about me? What grand prize do I get if I do this? Asked Itachi in a frustrated voice. You got what you asked for, brother. No paradise, no hell, just more of the same. I can still pull a few strings and give you a life with Sasuke if you want. Said Naruto honestly, and the shocked look on Itachi's face was priceless. Naruto, you dash. Naruto slowly stood up and put on his face mask, and casted a small glance towards his confused partner, who was remorsefully avoiding eye contact and just staring at the lake. I mean it, Itachi. What would you rather have, peace or freedom? Asked Naruto sagely. Itachi hesitantly looked up to answer the question, but alas, Naruto was gone, making a tired sigh escape from Itachi's lips. Well, you really suck at goodbyes, you know that? Konoha. Hinata Hyuga aimlessly walked through the streets of Konoha. She idly wondered how things were finally settling down in her troubled village. Things had been quite messy in the last few months. The man she loved had been named a traitor and murderer, and only Kami knew where he was now. Her classmate and good friend, Chuji, was buried in the ground. Sakura was moving on with her life and was busy training under Shizen Kato. While Anko and Kurenai were looking after the task force, with Kakashi and Guy assisting them sometimes. The rest of the rookies were just trying to overcome their grief of losing a good friend. This was the first time they were going through such a thing. Particularly Shikamaru and Ino. Sasuke was reverting back to his old self, and was becoming a big A-dash. Before she could finish her thoughts, she was suddenly pulled inside a nearby alley. Her Byakugan instantly activated as she looked at her assailant. What the Sasuke? Asked Hinata in shock, but the poor girl was shocked when she saw the state the boy was in. His eyelids were completely dark, showing he had cried or didn't sleep for a few days, his clothes were shaggy and his hair was a mess. Hinata. What happened to you? Asked Hinata worriedly. Even if the boy was a jackass, he was still a person. I'm sorry. Danger bells rang in Hinata's heart when Sasuke collapsed on his knees and tears freely slipped from his eyes. Acting on her female instincts, she rushed towards the boy and enveloped him in a warm hug. Shoo, it's going to be all right. Comforted Hinata, and gently rubbed the boy's back. I killed them. What? As soon as those words left Sasuke's mouth, he came face to face with a shocked Hinata, who had a clear look of disbelief on her face. I fucked up and got Takuma Hyuga and Shinji Hyuga killed. It was madness back there, and I tried to fire an explosive tag towards the enemy forces, but it slipped from my hands. Said Sasuke in a regretful voice. Oh Kami. Replied Hinata in shock. I was scared, it was madness, and I just jumped away while they got caught in the explosion. The blast was at point-blank range, which destroyed them completely. They died because of me. Said Sasuke sadly. Why are you telling me this? Why did you lie to everyone? Asked Hinata in harsh tone. I didn't know what to do, they would have locked me in a cell for this. Naruto was the only one I trusted and relied on, but he's gone and I'm all alone now. Hinata, I didn't want to kill them, I didn't," said Sasuke regretfully, as more tears slipped from his eyes. Hinata couldn't understand how to interpret the situation. On one hand, she felt extremely sorry for Sasuke. If this was the truth, then he was not a murderer like she thought, he was just a scared boy. Wave Mission was a madness, a horror story for new genin like them. They lost Chuji there, Sakura barely made it back, Shino got fucked up badly. And Sasuke, he was just a broken boy who lost his best friend a few weeks ago. "I am sorry for being rude to you, before. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't kill your family members, Hinata, I just dash." Before Sasuke could further testify, he was silenced when Hinata enwrapped him in a warm, tight hug. "Hinata, I'm glad you told me the truth," said Hinata sadly, as Sasuke returned the hug. "I can't lie anymore, Hinata." "You can report this to the Hokage," replied Sasuke, but she cut him off by tightening the embrace. "It won't do any good, you didn't kill them." "But I doubt that the Hokage would see it that way, I just don't want to see one of my friends getting hurt anymore," explained Hinata patiently. "You forgive me?" asked Sasuke hesitantly. "Hi, I'm your friend, Sasuke. You don't have to bear everything all alone," comforted Hinata. "Why are you doing this?" asked Sasuke sadly. "You trusted me enough to tell the truth, and I believe you are innocent and it was just an accident which no one else needs to know. Besides, this is what Naruto would have done," said Hinata happily, and embraced Sasuke tightly. But the poor girl was unaware of the devious look that appeared on the boy's face as he returned the hug. His Mangekyo quickly came to life and an evil smile appeared on his face. "I thought it was impossible for one person to change the world, it was unrealistic. But now, I see the truth of this evil world. My hands are already stained with blood, before creation there must be destruction. Before peace there must be war, and if my soul stands in the way, I'll just toss it aside," thought Sasuke darkly. His eyes shifted towards the girl in his arms. She was just going to be another one of his pawns in his holy war. And he had to admit, he was enjoying this. "Naruto, I finally realized the reality of this evil world. That's why I'm going to purify it, and if you two fight against me, I'll welcome you with open arms. After all, we are brothers. Ha 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 ha." Suna. In the middle of the chaotic desert, a young boy could be seen. His dark red eyes were attentively observing the large walls that were in front of him. The weather was extremely hot and the continuous sand waves were annoying as hell. However, it didn't stop him, after all he had a job to do. Naruto slowly lifted up his hood as his blonde hair flowed freely in the air and he just looked at the vast village of Sunagakure. He knew his mission had to be accomplished within 3 days, as he had to meet Orochimaru at the end of the week. His mind could still remember everything that Kabuto had said that day, about how Orochimaru could bring his mother back and his daughter. He didn't know what the truth was, but it would be a disaster if he trusted those monsters. Orochimaru was a murderer, liar, and a monster who betrayed his own people, his teacher, and his countrymen. He could not be trusted. "I'm sorry, Kurama. It's never too late, I'm glad you saw a reason," said the Biju in relief. "I was troubled that day, I was not thinking straight," replied Naruto in a guilty voice. "It's okay, it happens. Just focus on finishing this mission and getting back to Kurenai." "Okay?" asked Kurama patiently. "Hi. You are a good person," Naruto complimented Kurama, bringing a smile to Naruto's face. "And you are a good friend on whom I can depend. Kurama, from now I'll be honest with everyone and will not tell any lies." "You'll do the same for me, won't you?" asked Naruto curiously. He didn't know what those simple words meant to Kurama. The Biju felt extremely guilty. Here was the man who trusted him immensely. How could he just say to Naruto that he had betrayed him? No, he couldn't do that. Naruto was finally moving on in his life, towards a better future with Kurenai. If he told him the truth about Rei, about what he and Itachi had done on Hiruzen's orders, then everything would fall apart. He couldn't watch Naruto suffering from that feeling again, but at the same time he knew he couldn't hide the truth forever. "I'll tell you everything after Operation Ghost, and once you return to Konoha with Kurenai. I'll tell you everything, no matter how much you may hate me after that," thought Kurama seriously. Kurama. The Biju gave a false smile to Naruto. He had to bear this sin a little longer. Yeah, no more secrets. In the vast desert of Sunagakure, a young boy was currently hiding within a small earth dome. His dark Sharingan was briefly observing the small notes that were in his hands. With the evening sun about to disappear, the light in the desert was slowly getting reduced. Kurama couldn't understand why his container had stayed in the same position for the past 4 hours, and they were in a damn desert. "Naruto, why are you not infiltrating the village?" asked Kurama in an irritated voice, making a tired sigh escape from Naruto's lips. His Biju friend was indeed an impatient entity. "I can't just barge into a hidden village. Despite being the weakest village among the 5 great villages, Suna does have security measures. The reason I have been waiting is because they have a barrier around the village. If a person with even a good amount of chakra crosses their border, the Suna ninja are alerted and they bring her into custody for interrogation," explained Naruto patiently. "So we can't enter into Suna?" asked Kurama disappointedly with a small frown on his gigantic face. "I didn't say that. There is a time period of 20 seconds when the barrier teams are changed. In that time frame, the barrier is down and we can infiltrate into the village, but every checkpoint will be well guarded, so there is only one way to get in," said Naruto seriously, as he quickly destroyed the notes in his hand. He had memorized each and every route, district name, and important locations of the Sand Village, and was now ready for his recon mission. "How did you even get such vital information?" asked Kurama curiously, getting a small smirk on the boy's face. "Hiruzen has the best spy master in the world. The information which Jiraiya supplied indeed proves his ability," said Naruto in a respectful tone, but Kurama just gave a nod. "If you say so. This is a recon mission, Kurama. Hiruzen has ordered me to avoid any kind of battles until necessary. We go in, scout the enemy's forces, their weapons and formations along with every other important information. Now let's get going," said Naruto in an excited voice, and a small grin came on Biju's face when Naruto performed a very familiar set of hand seals. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique. Few minutes later. Naruto currently stood on top of his crow, his eyes keenly observing the small watch on his hand as well as the sand village that was hundreds of feet beneath him. This may be the first time when he would be making an aerial drop from such a height. But it was the only way of getting into Suna, and he had just 20 seconds to make it happen. As soon as the timer on his wrist watch changed to 0, he quickly jumped off his summon as the animal disappeared in a puff of smoke. 19, 18, 17, 16, counted Naruto, as he neared towards one of the rooftops. He activated his Sharingan and saw the barrier around Suna disappearing right on time. As he neared towards the rooftop, he fired several kunai that hit various points in the alley between 2 rooftops. Instantly the ninja wires strapped to the kunais got stretched due to the distance between the weapons, effectively creating a tough webbing. 7, 6, 5, 4. At the last second he crossed through the open barrier and quickly twisted himself while balancing his body on top of the ninja wire webbing which acted as his landing pad. And when he looked up, the barrier was back up once again. "Damn, that was close," said Naruto in a relieved voice. Naruto didn't waste any more time, and removed all the kunai and ninja wires, followed by sealing them into a small scroll. Performing a single hand seal, he created 4 shadow clones. "All of you scout 1 district respectively. Try to find out the strength of enemy forces, their weapons, and battle plans if you can. Avoid any battles at all costs. This is strictly a recon mission only. If things get too hot, then evade the enemy troops and quickly disperse yourself. Are we clear? Asked Naruto seriously. Hi, whispered all the clones in unison. Scatter. Kurama watched as the shadow clones transformed themselves into normal civilians and went in different directions, while the original Naruto transformed himself into a middle-aged man with spiky brown-colored hair. He had dark black-colored eyes and an oval-shaped face. His clothes were ordinary too, with a simple blue-colored shirt and dark black pants along with a pair of sandals covering his feet. Without another word, Naruto hopped down into the corner of the street, and after a few moments started walking through the dirty road. His veteran eyes were attentively observing the average-looking buildings of the sand village. There were very few windows on the houses, and the shops and restaurants alongside the road looked to be quite old. From what he had seen so far, Suna was definitely not having a great economy during these past few years. Maybe this reason combined with the decreasing missions from the daimyo of their nation were harming the village and raising doubts over its survival in the longer run. He spotted a bar on the right-hand side of the road, and decided to visit it in order to gather some information before starting the next phase of his mission. Naruto knew he could not afford a fight. He was barely carrying any weapons in order to prevent himself from looking suspicious. Apart from 3 kunai and a medkit, he was not carrying any other supplies. Everything was sealed in a small scroll which he had hidden inside a dark corner of the village, away from the prying eyes of shinobi or curious little children. Let's go and get some information. Konoha. Hinata smiled a little when she found Sasuke sitting idly on the banks of Naka River. These past few days had been some of the best days of their lives. Contrary to popular belief, Sasuke was not an arrogant person, he was just a boy who was lost like her. Sasuke had no clan, no family left. And with Naruto gone, he barely had any best friends left. While she still had a clan and family, but still she felt all alone. Hinata knew the people of her clan considered her a failure, and since she got the caged bird seal, all that was left for her was to become a proper member of the branch family. Within a few months, her younger sister Hanabi was going to be announced the next heir of the clan. In a way, she didn't have anything left. Are you just going to stand there, Hinata? Asked Sasuke in an annoyed voice, making her smile. Gomen, said Hinata shyly, and came forward. You seem awfully quiet, said Hinata curiously, as Sasuke rested his chin on his knees. Hinata, is there anything left for you to protect? A reason for your existence in this cursed shinobi world? Asked Sasuke seriously, and Hinata was instantly going to say a yes, but then the memories of the past few months came flooding back in her mind. Her banishment from the main branch, Naruto's defection, Chuji's death, and so many more tragedies. I don't think so, Sasuke, said Hinata sadly. Me too. I'm tired of losing the people I love, tired of the constant problems of the ninja world. I'm fed up with being a shinobi, said Sasuke bitterly, and clenched his fists tightly. But this is the world we live in. There is nothing we can do, argued Hinata in a defeated voice, but was silenced when he gave her a defiant look. There is always a way. I hate this world. It doesn't matter if you are strong or weak, the only thing you feel every time is pain, said Sasuke angrily. Sasuke, despite being an Uchiha, I couldn't protect Naruto. Konoha made him suffer in ways I could have never imagined, and yet he always tried to make me happy. He was just a child, and yet the villagers treated him like trash. Said Sasuke regretfully, and Hinata was surprised on seeing the affection the boy had for Naruto. Looking at him now, convinced Hinata that even if Naruto was now an enemy of Konoha, Sasuke still considered him a brother and deeply cared for him. But when he looked into her eyes, he was surprised when he saw some deep affections for Naruto. You love him, don't you? Asked Sasuke kindly, and smirked when her cheeks became bright red. I care about him, but now I just don't know what I feel, said Hinata honestly. Hinata, I want to stop the hatred in this world, to stop this curse so that more Narutos don't suffer, so that people like Chuji don't die in vain. This world is full of chaos and violence. I want to put an end to it, so that our friends and family can live peacefully," declared Sasuke passionately. "But how can we do that?" "The shinobi world said Hinata, but was cut off when his Sharingan came alive. What if there are no more shinobi?" With Naruto. The young ANBU captain had just finished inspecting another district of the village. So far, everything looked ordinary except for the fact that there were a high number of genin roaming around the village. One of his clones had also dispersed itself and passed on some information about a large weapons cache in the northern district, while his other 3 clones were still busy with their tasks. From his little visit to the bar, he had discovered the people of Suna were definitely on edge. The Kazekage was increasing military supplies and combat drills, and such activities only increased before the start of a war. Suna was desperate, that much was certain. He turned around and started walking into a small alley, but his danger instincts kicked in when he didn't see a single person in the area. He used his sensory abilities and discovered a few faint chakra signatures hiding in the nearby houses. Civilians, thought Naruto, but he became very alert when wild gusts of sand started flowing in the entire street and a person could be seen walking towards him. Naruto narrowed his eyes and saw a boy with fair skin and short, spiky, auburn hair and pale blue-green colored eyes. He was wearing a black full bodysuit with t-shirt-like sleeves, 3/4 length legs, and an open neck. With this, he also wore a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips, and a wide leather band system over the left shoulder and right side of his hips. With this leather band, he carried around a large gourd around which sand was swirling magically. His black-colored forehead protector was wrapped around his band, and he had the kanji of love embedded on his forehead. "Naruto, he's the Ichibi's one tail," Jinchuriki warned Kurama, but alas, it was too late. A maniacal grin came on the young boy's face as he glared at Naruto. "Mother wants your blood." Otogekure. In a dark corner of a secret base, a person was attentively operating on a body on his table. He was a tall man with extremely pale skin and waist-length black hair, but the most intimidating thing about him were his slit golden eyes that could generate fear in even the strongest warriors. It was fair to say that Orochimaru was perhaps one of the most dangerous criminals of the ninja world. A former Sannin and a ninja of Konohagakure, infamously knows through the titles of Butcher and Mad Scientist. And titles well deserved, in fact. The attainment of knowledge requires sacrifice and dedication. It requires a will to cross boundaries which humans often confine themselves into. And he was happily breaking all the boundaries in order to become that supreme being. That thought alone sent tickling sensations across his body, making him chuckle lightly. "I see, you're still busy with your experiments," said Kabuto slyly, making his mentor smile. "How was your meeting with Uzumaki?" Naruto asked Orochimaru curiously, and watched as Kabuto adjusted his glasses. He always wondered why his student had the strange habit of adjusting his glasses before starting a conversation. Then again, Kabuto was a weird genius. Talented boy, but indeed weird. So far, the reports about him seem accurate. He has indeed betrayed Konoha, and is strong enough to dispose of all my test subjects like they were flies. He is extremely strong, even without his Biju's powers. Was Kabuto's swift and honest reply. "Interesting, very interesting. Orochimaru-sama, I still doubt his intentions. The Hokage has indeed sent hunter ninja and ANBU squads after Naruto, but I sense a conspiracy here. All of this seems very easy," suggested Kabuto, but Orochimaru shook his head. "You're right and wrong at the same time," said Orochimaru mysteriously, and chuckled when a frown came on Kabuto's face. "What do you mean?" "I have seen from time to time that rebellion is in mankind's nature," said Orochimaru confidently, meaning? Before the shinobi and ninja village system existed, there was the clan wars era. It was an era of constant warfare, and yet humanity was surviving and constantly developing. You might even say people were happy in that system, except for a few. Said Orochimaru seriously. "You mean Hashirama Senju, the founder of Konoha and the shinobi world? Asked Kabuto smartly, getting a nod from his mentor. Accurate, there will always be people who can never fit into the system. No matter how hard they try, they are either unfit to live in the system or the system rejects them itself. And those selected few humans always become the ones who change the world, for better or for worse. Said Orochimaru confidently. And where does Naruto fit into this? Questioned Kabuto curiously. He doesn't fit at all, he's an outcast who was rejected from the system. It was not his fault, yet his own people threw him away, but he still tried to adjust himself in the system until now. And what about Uchiha Sasuke? Opposite but yet the same, he was accepted into the system but is unable to adjust himself in it. If he ever realized the injustice done to his clan, and to his best friend, he will become quite a threat. These two along with a few others are prime examples of how unbalanced and hypocritical the ninja world is. It speaks of peace yet starts wars, it promotes equality yet discriminates at the same time, preaches love yet plants hatred inside people's heart by making them fight for power, vengeance, grudges. In a way, the ninja world is perhaps the most flawed system ever created in human history. Explained Orochimaru briefly. Kabuto was quite surprised by the depth of his mentor's knowledge. Not only did Orochimaru understand science but he understood the world itself. Guess, he was a sannin in every aspect. And you plan to use these two? Asked Kabuto knowingly, but frowned when Orochimaru shook his head again. I have no interest in the petty affairs of the ninja world, although I do have a grudge against Konoha. That village rejected the knowledge which I accumulated through years of sacrifice by saying I broke human morals and emotions. I have never seen such hypocrites in my entire life. Those fools can gladly suppress and destroy other people of the world for their comfort and yet speak of peace. That's why it has to be destroyed for attainment of knowledge. Besides, it would be fun watching those hypocritic fools die painfully. Maybe some of them can become useful samples. Mused Orochimaru, and Kabuto smirked on seeing the excitement in the man's eyes. So, you have no interest in Sasuke-kun's powers? Asked Kabuto. I never said that, Kabuto. Although, Naruto is a totally different case, he is free to take his revenge as long as he doesn't get in my way. I actually find the boy very interesting. Despite the odds against him, he became this powerful and fighting against the entire Fire Nation all alone. Stated Orochimaru in an impressed voice. Do you really think Naruto will join us? Questioned Kabuto doubtfully, as Orochimaru wiped a small blood stain from his coat. Hiruzen not only dug his own grave but also that of the ninja world when he decided to hide the mysterious existence and death of Naruto's clone daughter. Being the emotional human, the betrayal Naruto will feel will be much more in comparison to the treatment Konoha gave him all these years. Rei was the closest thing to what Naruto could call a family, and to realize Konoha and the ninja world even took that away from him, and even went as far as to eliminate all trace of her existence would be the ultimate betrayal. With the power of Kyuubi in his thirst for vengeance against the ninja world, Naruto can very well become the destroyer of the ninja world. All it takes to start a giant fire is a mere spark. And all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man, and Naruto Uzumaki is that person. Tsunade. Looking into Gaara's bloodthirsty eyes brought a smile on Naruto's face, which completely surprised his partner. Naruto, you're smiling? He wants to kill you, moron, scolded Kurama, but the mysterious smile still remained on Naruto's face. While you are seeing hatred in Jinchuriki's eyes, I can only see pain. If the Biju were mistreated by humans, then the Jinchuriki received far worse treatment. Being considered as weapons of mass destruction, to be used and thrown aside on the village's whims. If not for Kakashi, I would have turned out like him or worse joined Danzo's revolt. The longer I live in this ninja world, the more atrocities I and people of my kind suffer. What was our crime? You asked me why I never talk about my parents? Yes. Not only did they give me a life of pain, but left me all alone. And for what? Protecting Konoha? The very village spat on me, and what right did they even have to make me a Jinchuriki? I was a human being and not some property which they could freely use for their own ambitions. People of this world have forgotten the meaning of being human, they think all of them are kami, God. If they can judge and discriminate against people like me, then why can't I do the same? I don't hate my parents, but I don't like them either. As for this boy, I understand his pain and that's why I will not kill him even if he is Konoha's enemy, explained Naruto seriously. Then why are you even protecting Konoha? Questioned Kurama, and frowned when Naruto became extremely silent. Answer me, Naruto. I'm just tired of this ninja world. The only reason I'm still fighting for Konoha is due to the few people in the village who showed me kindness and love. And as far as the village is concerned, let's just say they are receiving my allegiance only due to Shin and Sai. But then again, it's not enough, and I might just retire from this ninja life after this mission, said Naruto honestly. I understand, said Kurama nervously, and Naruto sensed the hesitation in his partner's voice. Are you hiding something from me, Kurama? Asked Naruto sharply, and his suspicions were proved correct when he saw a flicker of panic cross through Kurama's eyes, but it quickly disappeared as the Biju schooled his features. No, and I think you need to concentrate on your opponent. The Kazekage and Suna ninja would be alerted soon, warned Kurama, and sighed in relief when Naruto gave a nod. Unknown to the Biju, Naruto had completely understood his partner's intention of diverting the question. He had noticed Kurama's strange behavior during the past few days, and his years of training as an ANBU captain suggested only one thing. Kurama was lying to him. And he had to know why. Alright, Kurama. I see your point, said Naruto slyly, pretending to be unaware of his partner's deceitful actions. Activating his Mangekyo, Naruto put his finger on his communication device. He needed time to subdue his opponent, and it could only be achieved through this way. Clone teams, change of plans. Shift to condition Scarecrow, now. With clones. As soon as the command was received, the first shadow clone edged closer to the entrance gate of a nearby restaurant. He also sensed his clone brothers moving into similar important targets, while one clone stationed himself inside a weapons cache center of Suna. Clone 1, in position inside the weapons depot. Clone 2, in position near the communication station. Clone 3, in position near the hospital. Clone 4, in position near a large restaurant. All the clones passed on their status updates to their maker, as the communication devices on their ears blinked again. Initiate Code R, minimize civilian casualties, said Naruto coldly, and the next second, 4 giant explosions rocked the entire village of Sunagakure. With Naruto, the ANBU captain observed closely as 4 giant explosions occurred simultaneously across the entire village. The very next second, loud sirens started ringing, and hundreds of chakra signatures started rushing towards the site of explosions, along with a Kage-level ninja's chakra signature. That will keep the Kazekage and his forces occupied. Now I only need to stop this guy before he transforms into his full Biju state. If he can even do that. Thought Naruto analytically. His assumptions were proved correct and Gaara jumped towards him. The boy did not care about the explosions inside his own village. Rather, he seemed more interested in killing Naruto. Very well, said Naruto calmly, and focused his eyes on Gaara. The Ichibi Jinchuriki was rather surprised when Naruto easily sidestepped the incoming punch aimed at him. Before Gaara could counterattack, a solid kick to his back sent him sailing away. Not wasting any time, Naruto took out 4 hidden seals from his pants and threw them in different directions. What are those things? Questioned Kurama curiously. Silencer seals. It will prevent any ninja from sensing our chakras, or even any type of sound. It will buy me some time to subdue him, explained Naruto quickly, while looking at a furious Gaara. But you said that you didn't have many weapons? Asked Kurama suspiciously, and got a bad feeling when a mischievous smirk came on Naruto's face. There are certain places in my uniform where I can easily hide some surprises," suggested Naruto, and laughed when Kurama faulted on understanding the hidden meaning behind those words. "Too much information," retorted Kurama in an irritated tone, adding further amusement to his smirking partner. Naruto made the first move. Within a blink of an eye the blonde disappeared and reappeared right in front of the Suna genin and delivered a supercharged punch to his face, sending the red-headed boy flying backwards. Fast, was all Kurama could think. His surprise didn't end there as Naruto appeared on Gaara's right side, while he was still in midair, and sent his crashing opponent through a nearby wall with a powerful kick. As Gaara was smashed through the wall, Naruto reappeared behind Gaara in midair, and once again hit him with another powerful kick that sent the boy flying in the opposite direction. How is this possible? Gaara is actually being overpowered, thought Shikaku in shock. This boy is overpowering Gaara's defense with pure speed. Damn you, Kurama. Let's take it up a notch. What's wrong, Gaara? Had enough already, because I'm only getting warmed up, Naruto taunted, as he landed on a rooftop directly in front of Gaara, who was slowly getting back up on his feet and glaring angrily at Naruto. Get up, the blonde scolded. You want my blood, then fucking fight for it. Whose side are you actually on? Yelled Kurama angrily, making Naruto smack his own forehead. Damn him, my sand can barely protect me from his attacks, Gaara thought angrily as his sand slowly reformed itself. He was surprised when Naruto created a shadow clone which soon transformed itself into a long, sharp sword. Quickly landing back on the ground, Naruto tightly gripped his sword and pointed it straight at Gaara. Not willing to let Naruto hammer away at his defense with his super speed, Gaara quickly opened his mouth and fired a massive blast of wind at Naruto. Sensing the danger, Naruto quickly drew his sword and channeled wind chakra through the weapon. Surashifu, wind slash. The attack cut right through Gaara's wind attack, causing it to dissipate and fly straight towards Gaara. But before the fast-moving attack could hit the Suna boy, Gaara jumped into the air, causing the wind blade to slice right through a nearby house, shattering its wall to pieces. After avoiding the attack, Gaara then extended his demonic sand arm forward at Naruto in an attempt to grab him. Seeing this, Naruto immediately resheathed his sword and sidestepped Gaara's arm and grabbed hold of it with both his arms and used all his strength to swing the Suna Jinchuriki around and into a nearby dustbin. After slamming Gaara into the dustbin, Naruto then formed a single hand seal in quick succession. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. Several Narutos were instantly formed which went straight towards the recovering Gaara, as a small dust cloud formed around the Suna genin. As the clones leapt forward and flew towards the large dust cloud that formed around Gaara, after he was slammed into the dustbin, they suddenly heard Gaara yell from within the dust cloud. Futon, Mugen Sajin de Tapa, Wind Style, Infinite Sand Cloud Great Breakthrough. After which a massive blast of sand and wind erupted, blowing away the dust cloud and destroying the clones in one single strike. Once all the shadow clones were destroyed, Gaara jumped on top of a nearby wall and shifted his murderous gaze towards the original Naruto. The young genin swung his arms and fired dozens of sand-shaped shurikens straight towards his opponent. Suna Shuriken, Sand Shuriken. Acting fast, Naruto quickly redrew his sword again. Hien no Jutsu, Flying Swallow Technique. The weapon got covered with wind chakra as Naruto used it to destroy the sand shuriken as they were about to hit him. When all the sand shuriken were dealt with, Naruto then jumped towards Gaara, who unleashed yet another massive blast of wind from his mouth and fired it at his opponent. Reacting on his instincts, Naruto used his wind chakra-laced sword to cut through the wind attack again, and sliced through the large wall on which Gaara was standing, causing him to fall to the ground. Danger bells rang in Naruto's mind, as he saw a large sand tail forming behind Gaara. He quickly threw the 3 shuriken he had towards the boy, but the attacks were easily evaded by the smirking Jinchuriki. Seeing Gaara evade his attack, Naruto then quickly created another clone of himself and used it to throw himself at Gaara. The Suna genin tried to attack Naruto, but thanks to his Sharingan Naruto was able to evade the strikes and reached behind Gaara. The piercing sound of Naruto's sword slash echoed through the street, which severed Gaara's tail from him, causing it to revert into sand and fall to the ground. After cutting Gaara's tail off, Naruto then quickly propelled himself off the side of a nearby wall and delivered a powerful spinning kick into Gaara's back, damaging his Jinchuriki form again and smashing him through two small houses. "Gah!" cried Gaara in pain as he was sent sailing across several walls of the houses. Naruto was quite intrigued when he didn't see any people in the houses. Focusing his chakra, he realized all of them were hiding in the basements. So, this is not the first time this Jinchuriki has gone on a rampage. Thought Naruto seriously. Naruto saw a badly injured Gaara slowly getting back onto his feet. His Jinchuriki form was already in a sorry state and the boy was struggling to reform it due to all the damage he took. Had the sand not absorbed the majority of Naruto's attack, Gaara was certain his body would be in shambles. Just as his Jinchuriki form got reformed, he sensed Naruto's presence above him. Suiton, Mizurappa, water style, wild water wave. When Gaara looked up, he saw Naruto spewing out a large stream of water at him. At the same time, a second Naruto appeared on Gaara's left and fired several large blasts of water at him from his mouth. When the attacks hit, Gaara was able to withstand them thanks to the sand that covered his body. But when the attacks ended, the Suna genin could not help but wonder what his opponent was up to. Since water attacks of those levels would not hurt him in his current form, the most they could do was wet his sand. He of course soon got his answer when a third Naruto appeared in front of him and hit him right in the stomach with a chakra-enhanced punch. But the big difference in this punch was the effect it had, where it not only sent Gaara flying through 3 giant walls this time, but it also destroyed most of the sand around his body and crippled him. "Fuck!" cried Gaara in pain from the devastating punch. "What's going on? What's happening? How did he break through my sand so easily? Why didn't it absorb the force of the punch?" thought Gaara in panic. Just what kind of ninja was this blonde boy? "Your sand is fast and strong, especially when it is compressed. But that's only when it's dry. When it's wet, it's no better than mud," explained Naruto briefly, shocking Gaara completely. "Impossible, he actually found a way to defeat Gaara's sand defense and make it worthless," thought a stunned Shikaku. "Take that, you stupid raccoon," yelled Kurama proudly. "Now I'm going to end this," Naruto said, and he started to form a long series of various hand seals, which Kurama recognized easily. The Biju sensed Naruto gathering a large amount of moisture from the air. The attack won't be at its full destructive capacity due to the limited amount of water in the desert-like atmosphere, but the Biju was confident Naruto could make do with the resources available to him. He was proven correct when Naruto finished the hand seals, and looked straight at Gaara. Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu, water style, water dragon bullet technique. A dangerous dragon made out of water formed around him and then headed straight for the injured Gaara. Not finished, Naruto quickly performed another set of hand seals and directed his fingers straight towards the charging water dragon. Reizuiryuden, lightning water dragon bullet. Gaara's eyes widened in terror when the dragon was completely electrified with lightning and was just about to crush him. The helpless boy tried to move from his position, but could only limp a few steps thanks to his injuries. Turning around, he could only watch in horror as the massive lightning-enhanced water dragon flew towards him at immense speed, and struck him with tremendous force. That sent him sailing through the walls of several houses and crashing into the ground with incredible force, causing a large explosion that covered much of the ground below in dust. Kurama was quite impressed with the battle. It was one of those times when he was reminded of the fact that despite being 15 years old, Naruto was one of the most powerful ninjas of the shinobi world. The Biju was intrigued when Naruto walked towards the injured Gaara, who was lying on the ground. Despite not being severely injured, the boy had indeed lost the fight due to sand getting all wet and electrified. It was quite ironic. Gaara's greatest strength had become his biggest weakness. "What are you going to do?" questioned Kurama, as Naruto stepped beside Gaara. "A little house cleaning," replied Naruto calmly, and glared his Mangekyo straight at Gaara. The Suna genin was quite mesmerized by those red eyes, but was surprised when he found himself standing in a dark landscape. He looked around and saw Naruto standing beside him, although the boy's eyes were not fixed on Gaara, but on a certain giant raccoon. Slowly stepping forward, Naruto's mysterious dark red eyes passively looked at the Biju standing in front of him. Hello, Shikaku. Konoha Cemetery. It was a silent night in Konoha, as Sakura Haruno stood all alone in the cemetery. Her sad eyes fixed on one name. Choji Akimichi. She was not close to the boy, but nonetheless he was a friend. A classmate and a member of the infamous Nine. That thought alone made her chuckle sadly as she looked at the picture in her hand. It was a group photo of her class. Everyone looked so happy. Choji was happily munching on his chips, while a bored Shikamaru stood beside him. Ino gave the best pose she could muster. On the left side, Shino was stoic as ever while Kiba had a cocky grin on his face. Hinata was her usual self, giving an extremely shy smile for the photo. And there they were, the magnificent three. She stood in between Naruto and Sasuke, with a happy smile on her face. Naruto was also giving a small eye smile, making him look like a mini Kakashi clone with the face mask covering his face. While Sasuke didn't smile, she could understand he seemed content with the people around him. Those days. Still hanging in the past, Sakura asked a very familiar voice. She didn't even have to turn around as she knew who he was. Yeah, it may sound naive, but I really wish to go back to those days, confessed Sakura sadly, as Sasuke came beside her. To her surprise, he kneeled down and placed a hand over Choji's grave. No words were said, yet she could feel the sadness in his heart. No, it's fine. It's a genuine wish, reassured Sasuke, completely surprising his teammate. She had expected a rude remark from him, and yet he did the opposite. And just like that, he tucked his hands inside the pockets of his pants and started walking away. Sakura wanted to say something, but no words came into her mouth. Her breath hitched in her throat when he suddenly stopped. Maybe one day I can make a peaceful world for all of us. A world where you won't have to see your friends getting killed, families getting murdered. Said Sasuke honestly. He couldn't say anything more, even if he wanted to. Sasuke could not understand why he was giving such a promise, why he felt his chest tighten on seeing her pain. Despite deciding to abandon all feelings for every person in Konoha, he could not stop himself from helping her. Granted, she was a teammate, and the closest thing to a friend after Naruto. In the past, he found her annoying due to her swooning over him, but in time, she grew up. Sakura changed and became a kunoichi whom he respected. He had killed people, was using Hinata for his own plans, and yet he did not feel a pang of guilt. But just seeing her standing at Choji's grave made him feel this intense emotion. Why? He froze like a rock when she embraced him from behind. Her hands tightly covering his chest, the warmth of her body hitting him. The feeling of her breasts tightly pressed against his back. Sakura, just stay with me. Sasuke's fists clenched tightly. Those simple words combined with this feeling in his heart was breaking through all his barriers. Every part of his body and heart was screaming at him to let go of everything and just kiss the girl embracing him. Maybe he really liked her. A bittersweet smile came on his lips. This feeling in his heart was more the reason he had to let her go. After all, darkness and light could not exist together. And if they tried, the light would be overwhelmed by the darkness. He could live with the regret of not reciprocating these feelings, but could not live in a world where Sakura and Naruto were constantly suffering. Maybe, the world will remember him as a monster after his plan was accomplished, but he would at least be successful in creating a peaceful world for her. Total destruction of the ninja world, this was the only dream he was living for. Yet he knew he was just one man. He was a strong warrior and an adept tactician. While Naruto had charisma and power, together they could dash. No, I won't put him through this, he has suffered more than enough. This burden is mine, thought Sasuke vehemently, and grabbed Sakura's hands that were around his chest and gently removed them. A confused frown came on Sakura's beautiful face, as she patiently waited for him to explain this action. Sakura, I have to go, said Sasuke evasively, but she sensed the hesitation in his voice. You sure? Asked Sakura calmly, and just received a nod from him. A small smile came on her face as he started walking away from her. It was short, but she felt something which none of them thought was possible. I'm really glad I met you. Those silent words shocked her to the core, freezing her completely in the cold night. The voice was so low, yet it broke through all her barriers and touched her heart. Did he really say that? He gave her a hesitant glance, and she saw a true smile on his face, but the moment was short-lived, as Sasuke disappeared with a shunshin. I'm sorry, but the path of happiness is just not meant for me. Suna. Gaara could not understand what was happening. Standing in this dark place and looking at the person standing beside him made him feel something, a feeling which never existed in his heart till this day. This blonde boy not only defeated him, but was now fearlessly standing in front of the giant Shikaku. Naruto noticed how Gaara flinched when Shikaku glared at him. Disappointment and murder was clearly evident on Bijuu's face. It was as if he held Gaara responsible for its own defeat, despite being the weakest Bijuu of the world. Such hypocrisy, thought Naruto angrily. Gaara flinched when Shikaku raised its giant tail. Knowing what was coming, he quickly shut his eyes. After all, resistance was futile against Shikaku. He waited for that incoming attack to strike him. It was just like Shikaku to vent out his anger on Gaara. Not allowing him to sleep, driving him mad with blood rage, driving people away from him. It was as if the Bijuu had pledged to torture his container until he died or committed suicide. Moments passed and yet nothing hit him. He slowly opened one of his eyes and was shocked when Shikaku had freezed and Naruto was standing in front of him. Silence, beast, shouted Naruto, his voice full of hatred and malice that even stopped Shikaku. Naruto, maybe you dash. Kurama, stay out of this. I sympathize with the Bijuu, but you have no right to torture your Jinchuriki. We were just as unlucky as you were, and that does not grant you the right to torture us. I am going to teach this animal a lesson, warned Naruto, and leaked some of his ki to make his point clear to the giant fox. Bijuu tried to say something, but a murderous glare from Naruto was all that was needed to silence him. Not that Shikaku deserved any mercy, but still it was a matter of concern that Naruto's anger was greatly increasing these days. And Kami forbid, if a hypocrite person or a Bijuu came before him, then they would wish they would have died sooner, rather than face Naruto. And it seemed Shikaku was not so lucky. Human, I will devour your soul. Here I come, declared Shikaku excitedly, and the very next second Shikaku found himself being glared at by a dark pair of Mangekyo eyes. Gaara was stunned when his Bijuu's tail that was about to strike them collapsed on the ground. The pressure Shikaku was releasing vanished instantly. He even noticed the shock on Bijuu's face. What's the matter? Can't attack? You're up against a little human, Ichibi, taunted Naruto. Bastard, what did you do to me? Asked Shikaku roughly, trying his best to break out of this power but only felt himself being subdued more and more. Or have you finally learned that only those willing to be killed should think about killing others? Asked Naruto darkly, and raised one of his fingers at the giant Bijuu. Kurama and even Gaara watched intently as Shikaku's eyes changed and were not totally red in color instead of its original yellow color. Naruto Uchiha commands you, kneel. Yes, your majesty. Gaara was sure it was a dream, when the very next second Shikaku kneeled faithfully before Naruto. Gone was the giant beast, the only thing that remained now was a faithful dog waiting for a command from his master. Kurama saw Naruto panting harshly and blood leaking from his eyes. But even then, to think his eyes are strong enough to subdue Shikaku so easily. Thought Kurama in shock. What are you? Asked Gaara nervously, if this boy could so easily destroy Shikaku, who had tormented him for years, then what would he do to someone like himself? His breath freezed in his throat when Naruto turned around and removed his face mask. Blood leaked like a river from his eyes, while his shiny blonde hair was falling over his face, and yet those dark red eyes sent shivers down Gaara's spine. If there was a demon in this world, then he surely would look the same as this boy. His very presence leaked sinister and evil. The scared Suna genin haphazardly took a few steps back when Naruto started walking towards him. Is this how I'll meet my end? Helpless and tortured to the very end, thought Gaara sadly, as his mother's face flashed in front of his eyes. You don't want it to end, do you? Asked Naruto knowingly with a small grin on his face, but instead of making him look welcoming it made him look more sinister. Stay away from me, warned Gaara, but his fearful voice made Naruto chuckle. It seems you still have some reason to live, said Naruto calmly, and stepped in front of Gaara. What did you do to Shikaku? Asked Gaara nervously, watching that giant raccoon kneeling like a dog still surprised him. That creature won't trouble you anymore, he'll be your pet from now on, offered Naruto proudly, as Gaara narrowed his gaze in suspicion. What do you want from me? Questioned Gaara, and was surprised when Naruto looked in his eyes with his Mangekyo. For a few moments, nothing was said as the dangerous boy just continued to stare in his eyes until a sad look appeared on his face. So, they did the same thing to you just as my people did to me. Such hypocrites, said Naruto bitterly, his Mangekyo spinning dangerously due to his rise in chakra. We're Jinchuriki, this is our destiny, said Gaara sadly. He knew fighting against this boy was useless. If he could defeat him in combat, subdue Shikaku like a street dog, then there was nothing left for him to fight against this boy. No. What? If you had the strength, then you could have prevented this. If you had power, then you could have opposed this atrocity, questioned Naruto, as he slowly walked back towards Shikaku. Gaara watched curiously as Naruto stepped in front of Shikaku. Are you going to kill me? Asked Gaara calmly, but just heard a small "hn" from the other boy. You have yearned for a family, haven't you? Searched for that one person who could understand you, who could accept you as a human instead of a monster or a weapon, said Naruto seriously. How do you dash? His question was cut short as Naruto turned towards him. I am Naruto Uchiha, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. I am like you, Gaara introduced Naruto with a small sad smile on his face. Kyuubi? I see, said Gaara calmly, as some of the tension vanished from his mind, bringing a smile to Naruto's face. I am not going to kill you, Gaara. Unlike the others, I can understand your pain. And yet I didn't have to go through this much pain. I found some precious people who loved me despite my identity as a Jinchuriki. They became my friend, my brother, said Naruto happily, and smiled sadly when the shock and disbelief was clearly evident on Gaara's face. No, it's not impossible. There is no such thing as friends, there is no such thing as a brother, yelled Gaara in disbelief, his choked voice full of sadness and anger, while tears came to his eyes. The next second he saw various flashes of Naruto's own life, the scene with the mob, Kakashi's entry into his life, the glares and curses thrown at him every day, how he eventually found some friends at the academy. But still the pain and hate continued to be thrown at him, until he snapped. Before Gaara could see more, the flashback stopped and he found Naruto standing beside him, his hand resting peacefully on Gaara's shoulder. I can give you everything you desire. I will be your family, your brother, offered Naruto with a true smile on his face, and despite his blood-stained face Gaara could not help but be touched by the genuine feelings in the boy's heart. Or you could continue to serve people who hate your very existence and will always consider you a monster. Just like my parents, your father sealed this animal in you who enjoyed tormenting you for years. With me, you won't have to face such pain. A small tear slipped from Gaara's eyes when Naruto touched his cheek. The feeling of his touch and that understanding look in his eye tore apart all the barriers in his heart. Father, brother, friend, I will be everything for you. Kurama was just stunned with the scene happening in front of him. Was this really Naruto? Just as he thought he knew everything about the boy, something new comes up that makes him wonder who Naruto truly was. Walk this dark world by my side, different rules, different times, different lives. I'll grant you powers that will make you strong to fight against any injustice. In return I want only one thing, said Naruto seriously, and smiled when he saw Gaara on the verge of accepting the offer. What do you want? Asked Gaara curiously. Swear your allegiance to me, you will fight only for me. Not for any village, not for any Kage, not for anyone else. The power of kings will indeed make you lonely, but as long as we are together you won't have to fear anything or anyone. Because I won't let anything happen to my brother. Explained Naruto briefly. Gaara's gaze shifted towards the kneeling Shikaku. The animal which had tormented him for years was now at this boy's mercy. The village which had shunned him all these years could be destroyed if only Naruto wished. His so-called family that was terrified of him can be taught a lesson, make them feel pain for all the injustice they had done to him. All these years, he had searched for this. And looking into Naruto's eyes made him confident that he could get everything he desired. Till this day I have been lying. My life was a lie, my family was a lie, my people were a lie, my village was a lie. All lies. Thought Gaara disappointedly. Naruto saw the boy's fists clenching tightly. I wanted to stop this madness, but couldn't bring myself to break these lies. But now. Thought Gaara seriously. Naruto smiled when Gaara gave him a light hug, as he gladly returned the gesture. Very well, I accept it. Promised Gaara. On that day, 2 blood brothers were born. Kakashi could not understand why he had been summoned to the ANBU headquarters. Granted, he had once been a part of the secret organization, and was a good friend of the ANBU commander. Hell, he practically trained the man. Through his experience in the ANBU, he at least knew one thing. ANBU were the darkness of the ninja world, a necessary evil. It was an outfit that brought forward the darkness in people's hearts, and transformed them into ruthless killing machines. In a way, he was grateful for Naruto's entry into his life. If not for the boy, he would have stayed in the ANBU and always lived in the darkness. Senpai. Kakashi turned around to see his longtime friend and student standing behind him, dressed in his ANBU gear and a sword strapped on his back, his face covered by the mysterious ANBU mask. It was hard to believe that the little Tenzo he had met years ago had grown so much. From their days en route to their partnership in ANBU, they had been through a lot. I told you to stop calling me that, Tenzo, said Kakashi lazily, making his friend chuckle. I'll stop the day you stop calling me Tenzo. Besides, now I am known as Yamato. You're not going to change, are you? Nope. Kakashi gently rubbed his forehead as his friend continued to smile. Guess, some things never changed. Why have you called me? Asked Kakashi curiously. We have an assignment for you. It has Delta level clearance. Said Tenzo, aka Yamato, seriously, his voice now devoid of any mischief. And he was not surprised when he saw the shock visible in Kakashi's eyes. Any mission/assignment with a Delta level clearance was the most important task an ANBU could ever dream to achieve. An SS rank mission. A mission that could very well change the future of their village and Fire Nation itself. I am not an ANBU. You should not discuss this with me. Scolded Kakashi, but tensed when his friend didn't back down. It's not up to me. I am merely following orders. Stated Yamato, as Kakashi came dangerously close to him. Did the Hokage put you up to this? Questioned Kakashi, and the look in his friend's eyes made Kakashi very nervous. Something big was going on. I'm afraid, bigger forces have got involved. Forces that are more powerful than the Hokage. Suggested Yamato, making Kakashi take a step back. It was not possible. The daimyo. Yes, this assignment comes directly from the leader of this entire nation. As you know, the daimyo does not interfere with the internal matters of the village, but Naruto's defection incident has seriously raised deep concerns in the imperial court. Questions are being raised about the power of Konoha, and whether it is strong enough to defend Fire Country. We have got reports that the daimyo of Suna and Iwa are maybe planning an alliance. Explained Yamato worriedly. The ANBU commander was surprised when Kakashi grabbed his collars roughly and looked him straight in the eye. The ANBU are loyal to the Hokage. You can't get involved in this mess, much less drag me into it. If Hiruzen finds out that you are secretly collaborating with the daimyo dash. What if I tell you, Hiruzen won't be Hokage for long? Time seemed to have stopped for Hitaki Kakashi. Everything was spinning out of control. Even his rational mind was unable to process the information that was thrown at him. This just couldn't be happening. You mean? Said Kakashi nervously, and gulped when he received a nod from Yamato. I'm afraid the imperial court has lost all confidence in Hiruzen. They think he has grown too old and soft, their argument being if a child like Naruto can kill so many ANBU, steal the forbidden scroll. Then what's the worth of allowing Konoha to exist? You know very well that Konoha's power pales in comparison to the might of the Fire Country. The daimyo's army is a little weaker than our ninja, but is 10 times larger than our entire forces combined. It is the largest and most powerful army of the world that has ensured Fire Country's dominance for centuries. If things are not handled soon, Konoha could very well be replaced by a new village, explained Yamato in detail. The daimyo is a spineless coward, he won't dare. Said Kakashi aggressively, gaining a nod from his friend. You're right. Daimyo is a coward and weak old man, but that is not the case of Princess Karin. The 13th heir to the throne, and eldest daughter of Fire Daimyo. She is a cold-hearted bitch who is very likely to become the next empress of Fire Nation. The fact that she was indirectly involved in the mysterious murders of 10 of her siblings is enough to prove her desire for the throne. She practically controls the imperial court and the army too. 2 days ago, she approached me with a proposal. Kakashi got a real bad feeling after hearing the explanation. He had heard about Karin. She was the only royal heir who had the ability to use chakra. At the mere age of 17, she assumed command of the imperial forces and participated in the Third Great Ninja War, while the rest of her siblings preferred to hide in their royal palaces. She was a hardliner, who would not stop until her ambitions were achieved. The fact that she was a student of Danzo Shimura was troubling news. After Yondaime died, she and Danzo had lobbied hard for Orochimaru to be named the next Hokage, but was considered young and naive by her father and his supporters. Ultimately Hiruzen was made Hokage again, and it was fair to say that the princess took it as an insult to her and her teacher, Danzo Shimura. One by one the advisors of Fire Daimyo who had supported Hiruzen's rise to power started disappearing, until none of them remained. Where they had disappeared was still a mystery, but Kakashi had a very good idea who it was that made these disappearances possible. Kakashi, she knows the truth. If Kakashi was shocked before, then now he was mortified. Just how vulnerable had Konoha become during these past few years? Tenzo, you told her. Said Kakashi furiously, but only received a harsh glare from his old friend. No, she already knew. Karin is about to be named the next leader of Fire Nation, and recent events have placed both Konoha and Hiruzen in her bad books. Once she assumes command, the first thing she would do is to sack Hiruzen and merge Konoha with Fire Nation. Our village could very well be wiped out. Now I knew why Danzo was so confident with his coup. Even if Root had been able to topple Hiruzen's rule and take over Konoha, Danzo would still need the approval of the imperial court. So this was the bastard's true plan. With Karin to back him up, the coup would have succeeded flawlessly, explained Yamato worriedly. But Naruto fucked it up when he single-handedly wiped out Root. Oh, Kami, said Kakashi in shock, as the true picture became clear to him. Yes, not only did Karin lose her control over Konoha, but she also lost her teacher, Danzo Shimura. Now she has control over the largest and strongest army of the world, but not the strongest village due to Hiruzen. The situation is extremely fragile and Karin is not someone with whom Konoha should mess with at this point of time. If we don't handle this, then a rebellion may start within the Fire Country," said Yamato sincerely. "What do you want from me?" asked Kakashi skeptically. Karin wants to remove Hiruzen, but she can't assassinate him as it will directly point fingers at her. So, she has adopted another approach. Karin has proposed full immunity to Naruto, if he testifies that he eliminated Root on Hiruzen's orders and murdered Danzo. But that would change nothing. Danzo was revolting, it was a crime. Not in her eyes. She controls the imperial court and will project that instead of negotiations the Hokage took a rash step and eliminated 300 talented Root ninja, effectively reducing Konoha's military efficiency while jeopardizing the safety of Konoha and Fire Country. Not only that, she would surely blame Hiruzen for hiding the information of the coup and proclaim that he endangered the royal family, which will turn the Fire Nation against him. The fact that Hiruzen and Danzo never looked eye to eye will be used against him as a motive for giving Naruto orders to eliminate Danzo, explained Yamato briefly. "It's a checkmate," said Kakashi sadly. "The way I see it, Hiruzen's days as Hokage are outnumbered. Karin will come after us, our choices will determine the future of this village. My loyalty lies with the village and the people rather than the Hokage only. The Uchiha massacre, Root massacre, and defection of our only Jinchuriki. Combining all these reasons, the royal family and Karin have more than enough reasons to remove Hiruzen. As for you, she wants you to convince Naruto to surrender. You're the one who raised that boy, and he trusts you immensely," said Yamato seriously. Kakashi, you and I both know it. Even if Naruto finishes his mission and is brought back to the village, the people will never trust him. He would become a greater pariah, but if he surrenders to Karin, she has promised to pardon him of all crimes, and with her power, she could actually make the people believe that Naruto was just an innocent young ninja who was used by Hiruzen. That would earn him the sympathy of the people, even make him a hero. Karin wants to meet him at Kaminojima Pass, 9 days from now. It will be a secret meeting, it's up to you now. The ANBU commander could only watch sympathetically as various emotions crossed in the copy ninja's eyes. They were talking about the change of an entire regime. Something which had never happened in the history of the ninja world. And Naruto was caught right in the middle of it. "You once asked me, why did Naruto rebel against Root?" asked Yamato patiently, and gestured to Kakashi to follow him. "Because Danzo made him kill a very close friend and was increasingly becoming a threat to the village," replied Kakashi confidently, and was a little intrigued when his friend led him into a room full of monitors. He watched patiently as his friend inserted a tape into the recorder, and motioned his finger at the large screen in front of Kakashi. It was Operation Thunderstorm, 7 years ago, that destroyed Naruto's loyalty to Root and Danzo. And Kakashi was surprised when he found a young Naruto dressed in ANBU gear on the screen. Operation Thunderstorm 7 years ago. Heavy rains were falling from the dark sky, while the moon was shadowed by the sea of dark clouds in the sky. In all this darkness, several pairs of eyes were currently watching a small palace that was in front of them. Isane Kotaro could not understand why her and their entire platoon had been assigned the task of eliminating Prince Genji, the 7th heir to the imperial throne. The fact that they were dressed in the uniform of Hanya Black Ops of the Land of Woods, and had removed any mark that could trace them back to Konoha or Root, was a big sign that this was an operation clearly not being conducted on the Hokage's orders. "Isane Moni-chan, should we begin?" asked a young deer-masked Root ANBU. The little 7-year-old boy flinched when the elder girl gave him a harsh glare and motioned him to shut up. "Kento, you're not supposed to call me that. We're on a mission and I'm your squad leader, call me Bird," advised Isane. "Gomen," said Deer apologetically, as Isane's glare softened. Her eyes shifted towards their platoon leader, who was just looking at them stoically. She could not understand what was going on in that boy's head, 9 years old, and he was already a lieutenant and soon to be named captain. It was fair to say that Naruto Uchiha was one of the finest ninjas in the Root Force. He had already performed several Black Ops missions behind enemy lines, and right now looking at these two rookies made him feel a little nostalgic about his days under Shin's command during Root training. "It's time, squad leader," advised Naruto seriously. He received two quick nods from Isane and Kento as both of them took out their crossbows and focused the weapon towards the second floor of the palace. She also saw Naruto loading a sharp arrow on his weapon, when one of his communication devices on his right ear blinked. Ground Team 1 in position at the North Gate. Ground Team 2 in position near the South Gate. Orders, Lieutenant. There are several squads around your position. Your objective is to cause as much havoc. Our intel suggests that Prince Genji is one of the few royal heirs who would not leave his soldiers helpless in a fight. Your attack would draw him out, and that is when we will eliminate him. There are approximately 100 royal guards around this palace. You will be fine, Team 1, Team 2 explained Naruto briefly. The communication link was cut off as Naruto's gaze shifted towards the two shooters that were currently beside him on the cliff. Ready your weapons, rookies. We're hot, ordered Naruto. Yes, sir. Despite receiving the positive reply, Naruto saw a little doubt in one's eyes and motioned her to speak. Sir, we have 30 men in the field right now. If things get too hot, they won't be able to escape. Suggested Bird. Isane, our intel is clear. There are only 100 royal guards, our forces are strong enough to hold their own against them. But if it gets too hot, I will order them to fall back. Don't worry, squad leader, focus on your objective, said Naruto confidently, and smiled when he received a faithful nod from the 8-year-old girl. Isane waited with bated breath as Naruto motioned 3 fingers, reduced them to 2 and finally. Boom! Several explosions rocked various sectors around the palace, as Root ANBU forces dressed as Hanya Black Ops stormed through the gates of the palace. Sector 3, right-hand side, spoke Dear Kento, while Isane shifted her weapon in the said direction. Fire! The body of a royal archer fell down from the second floor of the palace with an arrow lodged in his skull. Sector 3-1, distance 920 meters, upper left corner, pointed Dear again, as Naruto's crossbow shifted in that direction. Fire! A sharp arrow was lodged into the brain of a royal guard that was standing outside the prince's quarters. Isane was surprised when the prince came storming out of his quarters, dressed in his samurai-like armor. The man was just about to join his forces when a sharp arrow pierced his right eye and passed clean through the man's skull. As the man's lifeless body fell down on the floor, she saw Naruto reloading his weapon. Such precision, and control over his emotions. Tonight, Isane learned what it meant to be a true Root ANBU. She was shocked when Naruto's eyes widened in terror before he flashed towards her and tackled her to the ground. Slash! Moments passed and the little girl heard several kunai and shuriken piercing someone, as a soft cry escaped from the person's throat. She saw several hawks flying in the sky, and saw what appeared to be ninja forces on them. Naruto didn't waste any time, as he picked up his crossbow and started firing it towards the airborne enemy forces. He looked towards Isane for support, but froze when he saw the young rookie Kunoichi kneeling before a badly mutilated body of Kento. The 7-year-old boy had around 50 kunai lodged in his body, and his lifeless eyes were staring at Isane. This is Team 1, we are surrounded by ninja forces. They're everywhere. Team 2, mercenary forces have us surrounded. We can't hold on much longer, Lieutenant. Time seemed to have stopped for Naruto, as he witnessed 30 of his men surrounded by at least 200 ninja forces and another 80-something royal guards. And in that moment he realized the true meaning of their mission. Lieutenant, you gotta get us out of here now. I won't let you down, hang in there, shouted Naruto, but his Sharingan was clearly showing him his own soldiers getting butchered by the enemy forces. Can't do, LT. I've lost 5 men already. Lieutenant Falcon, they are killing us here. Isane saw a furious Naruto making some adjustments on his communication device, before yelling furiously at the man on the other channel. Command post, this is Lieutenant Falcon. My men are surrounded, we need support now, shouted Naruto urgently, there is no available support. Your mission is finished, Falcon. Return to base. Came the voice of their commanding officer, but my men are expendable. This was how it was supposed to go, now return to base. That's an order. A devastated Naruto could only helplessly watch as the Imperial forces mercilessly crushed his 30 men. He also saw what appeared to be a royal eagle landing on the palace, as a woman jumped on the surface. But he couldn't think about that right now, nor could he look into Isane's eyes. No one's coming for us, are they, sir? Asked Isane sadly, as Kento's body got vaporized due to the root seal's activation. A small tear slipped from Naruto's eyes as he saw the bodies of his soldiers getting vaporized, but he didn't stop. The young root ANBU quickly picked up Isane and started running away. But he had learned one thing tonight. The ninja world was indeed very cruel. Root base, 2 days later. A young Naruto could currently be seen standing in front of several root officers. Danzo was sitting in the middle and his cold eyes were analyzing the boy. Isane, who was standing behind Naruto, could only flinch when the root commander glared at her. Danzo-sama, and esteemed members of the Special Forces Committee. I, Naruto Uchiha, come before you to protest a grave injustice. Said Naruto seriously, barely trying to hide the anger that was burning in his heart. We have already read your report, I don't see why you are standing before us. Replied Danzo nonchalantly, it was as if the man didn't even care. Isane saw Naruto's fists clenching tightly, and his chakra increasing. 31 soldiers died, Danzo-sama. The intel was deliberately manipulated, we were told there were only 100 personal royal guards of Price Genji. Instead there were mercenary ninja forces under the leadership of another royal princess. Argued Naruto passionately, but one of the root commanders raised his hand. The target was eliminated, that's all that matters. Soldiers are expendables. Danzo narrowed his gaze when Naruto's Sharingan activated as he glared furiously at the uncaring root members. You set us up. Said Naruto furiously, so what? Isane couldn't believe what she was hearing, did Danzo just say those words? With Prince Genji's death and the supposed intervention of Hanya Black Ops in this incident, the Imperial Court has ordered the invasion of the Land of Woods, soon that small nation will be under the rule of Fire Country. Princess Karin is already making preparations, you should be proud, scolded Danzo, you bastard, you killed Kento, thought Isane furiously, she had pledged her life to defend Konoha. Only to have the very same village betray her and their comrades. Kento was only 7 years old and this man didn't even seem to care. For all these rude officers, soldiers like her were nothing more than cannon fodder. To be used and thrown. She saw Naruto trying his best to make them understand and accept their deliberate actions, but was easily getting cornered. This has to stop. Root base, 1 day later. The sound of alarms rang across the entire root base, everywhere red lights could be seen burning. Sai could not understand the reason why Naruto was so tense and heading towards the area where they had received reports about an enemy intrusion. The fact that the intrusion point appeared to be extremely close to Danzo's personal quarters was an alarming sign. Sai knew this root base was a secret and only root ninja knew about its existence. He couldn't finish his thoughts as they took another turn and his worst fears indeed came true. Because there in front of them was a small ANBU squad of 10 ninja surrounded by several root ANBU from all sides. The fact that the intruders were indeed root ninja themselves and were young rookies. Danzo's loyal soldiers were just about to finish these young children, when a loud, strong voice ran across the room. Drop your weapons. Drop them. The surrounded root soldiers were surprised when the soldiers loyal to Danzo stayed their attack, but the one who was most surprised was none other than Isane. This is Lieutenant Naruto, drop your weapons now, commanded Naruto, but the boy was shocked when Isane stepped forward. Squad leader Isane Katero. I'm the team leader of this squad, said Insane respectfully, and didn't flinch when Naruto glared at her. Squad leader, you are surrounded. If you value your life and that of your soldiers, drop your weapons and surrender, advised Naruto patiently, while Sai glared at the root soldiers of Danzo, preventing them from attacking the young soldiers. Isane slowly removed her ANBU mask, and Naruto saw a small sad smile on her face as she looked at the mask. Sir, I know you tried everything. But just like you, I swore to defend Konoha against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and Danzo is an enemy of Konoha, said Isane angrily. How dare you dash? Naruto quickly grabbed the weapon of a fellow root commander, preventing the man from starting a fight. Lieutenant, we have fought and bled for the same nation, you know very well, I will not give that order, said Insane seriously. Your squad is surrounded, Insane. These guys won't spare you if you don't surrender, don't be stupid. None of you have to die, pleaded Naruto, as the young girl glared at the root forces that had surrounded her squad. All of you, we were comrades once and we swore to defend Konoha. But that doesn't mean we must be sacrificed like dogs for one man's greed. Danzo is a traitor to Konoha and to all of us, shouted Isane angrily, and Sai saw the root forces grabbing their weapons. A panicked Naruto looked the girl straight in the eye, his heart burning with anticipation and fear. For the last time, Isane. It's over, surrender right now, commanded Naruto. Stand fast, countered Isane, as both her and the root forces of Danzo readied their weapons. God damn it, squad leader, I am not going to repeat this order, yelled Naruto furiously, as the defiant girl looked at him with equal passion. I will not give that order. What the hell is wrong with you dash? Slash. Before Naruto could even finish his order, the sound of a kunai was heard in the room, and the next second one of the soldiers under Isane's command fell dead on the floor. Sai quickly tackled Naruto to the floor, as all hell broke loose. But Naruto's eyes were only fixed on Danzo, who had fired that weapon. The sound of explosions, kunai against kunai, cries of dying soldiers was heard across the entire room as Naruto glared at Danzo. He quickly shoved Sai off him, and grabbed the kunai of the closest root ANBU. Cease fire. The young ANBU officer could only helplessly watch as his comrades got hit by numerous weapons. Danzo's forces were killing them without any shred of mercy. He gasped in shock when an exploding tag bursted around Isane, shredding the entire left part of her chest. Showers of blood erupted around the girl, but she continued to grab the sword in her hand and jumped towards Danzo. With all her strength she sliced the necks of two root ANBU protecting Danzo and jumped towards the root commander. Stop, yelled Naruto urgently, slash. A sharp sword was pierced clean through Isaac's heart by Danzo, as the young girl coughed up blood before collapsing beneath the man's feet. Everything went silent, there was no sound, no cries, no weapons being fired. Just emptiness. Sai could only watch sadly as a mortified Naruto stared at the bodies of the young children of Isane's squad, their mutilated bodies vaporizing. His gaze then shifted towards Danzo, who just turned around and started walking away. Clean this mess up. That's it? Was this the only thing the man had to say? Watching the root ANBU giving faithful nods shocked Naruto even more. An intense rage and hatred burned in his heart, as he grabbed his sword and was just about to charge towards Danzo. But before he could react, Sai placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Not now, Naruto. One by one the root ninja started to clear the room, while Naruto walked towards the place where Isane's corpse was vaporizing. He could hardly call her a friend, but she was indeed his comrade. A faithful subordinate who shared the same dream of protecting Konoha. Was it wrong for her to rebel against the system? His rational mind was telling him she should have surrendered, but his heart knew she was right all along. Until the very end. Sai stood patiently as a tearful Naruto put his hands on the mass of flesh and blood that had once been Isane Kitaro. There was nothing you could have done, Naruto, said Sai sympathetically, and was relieved when he received a nod from Naruto. You're right, I could not save them. She rebelled against Root, but even then she was right. All of them were. Said Naruto regretfully. What do you mean? Asked Sai curiously. She showed that even ninja are in the end people. ANBU are human, and human life must be preserved. Life is the greatest gift which a person receives from Kami, and nobody has the right to take that away from us. Not a country, not an organization, not anyone. Said Naruto passionately, while slowly putting his ANBU mask on. What do you think of her actions? Asked Sai, and he heard a soft sad chuckle escaping from Naruto's lips. You either die as a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Naruto. Humans chase after the existence of happiness. Said Naruto mysteriously, meaning? What Isane and these rookies wanted was just a tiny bit of happiness. It was just a simple wish, a wish that every human has. He turned around and was now looking at Sai with his Mangekyo Sharingan, and it seemed Sai understood what he meant. Do any of us have a right to deny that wish? Questioned Naruto. Naruto, people are judged because they are linked to something in the world, whether they like it or not. Such is the fate of humans. Explained Sai sagely. And sometimes when personal wishes stand against the will of the world, they are considered pointless, said Sai honestly, but Naruto shook his head in disagreement. Sin and punishment, fate and judgment, I will change these factors that stand in the way of happiness, I will become the darkness that the ninja world loves so much. No matter what happens, I will clean this corrupt system. Humans love the dark side, I will make them feel pain so that they value life over death, happiness over misery, feelings over greed, and friends over power. If Root is the darkness of Konoha, then I shall become an even greater darkness. Sai, I am going to eliminate this darkness, because only those willing to be killed should think about killing others, promised Naruto. Flashback end. Kakashi just stood in his position. Never in his entire life had he thought about the darkness that Root had indulged itself into. Watching these memories made him look towards Naruto in a different light. To some extent, he found Naruto's actions to be just. We found these tapes during our raid on the destroyed Root base. After an investigation, we discovered that the mission was rigged from the start. Danzo and Princess Karin were in on this. She knew that Hiruzen wouldn't support her in the assassination of Prince Genji, who was gaining political powers within the imperial court, thereby becoming a threat to her. Danzo offered her support. He was still bitter over the betrayal by the Land of Woods a few years ago. You remember that, they broke off that treaty which Hiruzen sent them? Asked Yamato seriously. Yes. It was Guy's team that the Hanya Black Ops ambushed. I and Itachi disposed of them. Said Kakashi quickly, as he remembered the mission. Those Root soldiers were sacrificed as pawns in a big political game. Since they had acted as Hanya Black Ops, and murdered a royal prince. It gave Karin enough reason to launch an invasion on the Land of Woods. Within days it fell and was made a part of our nation. Karin personally led the invasion. In this way she successfully removed her sibling who was becoming a threat to her rise to the throne, while Danzo got his wish to conquer the Land of Woods. Our further search revealed many such missions in which those two cooperated, said Yamato in detail. Then use it against her, Tenzo. Are you kidding me? You want me to go up against the next Empress of Fire Nation? This evidence is not enough, and even if we want to present it, she would destroy us. That woman killed her own siblings, what do you think she will do to us? And if we try to present this evidence, then the Root Rebellion will come out eventually, which would not only destroy Konoha's reputation further, but also endanger Naruto's cover when he's this close to Orochimaru. It's too risky. Scolded Yamato. Kakashi became silent for a few minutes, and what his friend had said was indeed true. Naruto was caught right in the middle of this mess, and going up against someone like Karin would put him in even more danger. But if he went along with this plan, then Hiruzen. Then he remembered what Hiruzen had done to Naruto. Removing Rei's memories was an even greater crime, which Hiruzen did without any hesitation. Don't worry, Kakashi. The princess only wants to remove Hiruzen, and if it's any consolation, she wants to make you the next Hokage. What? Calm down, think about it rationally. If we do this, Konoha would be safe from her wrath, and with you as our leader it would be easy to bring Naruto safely into the village. As for Hiruzen, she would pressure him to resign and the people would accept it since he has become too old. Suggested Yamato. Kakashi narrowed his gaze when Yamato offered his hand to him. What shall it be, Kakashi? Saizukuma Island. It was a bright morning, as the shining rays of the sun slowly started to fall on the plains of the beautiful islands. The bright golden lights destroy the darkness of the night and enlighten the lives of the people by marking the beginning of a new day. In a small room of a luxury motel, a beautiful woman slowly opened the window. Cool gusts of winds quickly seeped through the open space, easily hitting her face and making her dark hair flow wildly in the air. Kurenai smiled a little when she saw the streets full with people, even when it was only 7 in the morning. Kakashi had been absolutely right when he said that Sakuma Islands never slept, and life continued to bolster in the area whether it was day or night. After all, it was one of the most attractive tourist destinations in the entire Fire Country. She suppressed a small yawn as her fingers gently rubbed her eyes, guessing she was still getting used to the peaceful life. She had just arrived in this beautiful place last night, and already she was in love with it. However, she also knew the main reason behind her arrival in this place. Naruto. It was going to be a difficult task of finding her boyfriend/lover in a place crawling with at least 1,000,000 people. But she was a ninja, and on top of that she was his girlfriend. That did give her certain advantages in her search, as she was aware of some of the espionage techniques Naruto used in unknown territories during the mission. Grabbing a handmade sketch from a nearby table, she turned around and went straight towards the bathroom. It would be a cold day in hell before she went on a tiresome search without a hot bath in the bathtub. It was good to be rich. Nono was surprised when a badly bleeding Naruto stumbled through her front door. His eyes were practically crying tears of blood while his body was having violent fits and continuously coughing up blood. She immediately rushed to his side, and quickly took him straight towards his room where they came face to face with a mortified Tsunade. The blonde Sannin was busy in her final stages of finishing the clone eye which they were making for Naruto. But she completely set everything aside, and rushed towards the boy as Nono made him lie down on his bed. "I'm tired," hissed the boy, as Tsunade immediately started healing his eyes. "Of course you are, just what kind of mess did you put yourself in this time?" asked Nono tersely, making the boy chuckle. "Victory, at any cost," replied Naruto proudly, and flinched when Tsunade glared at him. "That kind of ideology will get you killed. Survival is also an important prospect of a mission. What good is success if you're not alive to see it?" asked Tsunade harshly, as she finished healing his eyes. The damage was extensive and he would be needing that surgery within a month or two or suffer the fate of total blindness. While they could eradicate the virus killing him within 2 to 3 weeks of time, if the boy was able to survive till then. Root didn't teach that. These were the boy's last words before he slipped into a peaceful sleep. Tsunade's gaze lingered on her nephew. While it was true that they were getting closer, it didn't diminish the fact that she knew nothing about his past. Just what kind of person would allow this much damage to their body for the sake of a mission? More than that, the words that she heard from Naruto scared her. Victory at any cost. The boy simply didn't care if he was alive to witness the good things he had done for Konoha and his loved ones, as long as he was able to give them a secure future. She saw Nono gently caressing his cheek, and Tsunade was jealous of the nun. The woman had something with Naruto, which she being his aunt was still not able to develop. "You will get your chance to prove your love and loyalty to him, Tswanda-sama," said Nono knowingly, completely surprising the blonde Sannin. How do you dash? The younger nun silently walked past her, but just stopped at the exit of the room. He only trusts a person once, don't disappoint him when the time comes. Few hours later. The sound of birds chirping slowly awakened him from his deep slumber. Opening his eyes, he found himself safely tucked in his bed. His bed sheets were not stained with blood and smelt clean and fresh. Taking a few deep breaths, he slowly got up and drank water from a glass that was placed on a nearby table beside his bed. His bleeding had stopped, and there was no sign of damage on any part of his body. You should be more careful, advised Kurama, and was deeply concerned with the boy's condition. Naruto had simply not left any stone unturned to get Gaara on his side, going as far as to use his already fading Mangekyo eyes. And fighting with the Ichibi Jinchuriki, even if his body was deteriorating in health with every passing day. The Biju was certainly relieved when Gaara helped his partner in escaping, by creating quite a distraction. Apparently, the boy's control over sand had increased tremendously due to being able to control Shikaku's power, thanks to Naruto. The redhead had caused havoc in one of the districts, diverting almost every Suna ninja along with the Kazekage to his position while Naruto stealthily escaped from the shadows. It can't be helped, I had to get Gaara on my side. By winning his trust, I have effectively placed a spy deep within Suna's ranks, explained Naruto, while slowly walking towards his cupboard. Opening the piece of furniture, he selected a light gray-colored shirt and blue-colored shorts. He had barely finished adjusting his face mask, when a crow landed near his window. A tired sigh escaped from his lips, as he simply gave a weak nod to the bird, making it disappear in a puff of smoke. Leave it to Itachi to ruin my evening, muttered Naruto in dissatisfaction. What are you going to tell him? Questioned Kurama curiously, while Naruto tucked his sword in a small sheath and hung the weapon on his back. The situation in Suna, their military buildup, alertness level, the weapons caches and some other stuff, answered Naruto seriously. What about Gaara, and the deal you made with him? Asked Kurama hesitantly, and flinched when Naruto glared at him. That is none of his business, we're partners, and not friends. It is unhealthy to reveal all your secrets to someone whom you've just known for the past few months, said Naruto harshly, completely silencing his partner. Quickly cutting off the connection, he simply performed a set of hand seals before disappearing in a quick shunshin. Kurenai tiredly sat on a small bench of a garden, silently drinking a popular soft drink. She simply watched the people enjoying themselves with their families, friends, lovers, etc. She was currently dressed in a dark black t-shirt, and blue shorts, both of which she just purchased a few hours ago. The island was a gold mine for shoppers, and for those who seeked entertainment. And yet she had not been able to find a lead on Naruto, despite searching for 5 continuous hours. The Raven idly wondered just how much effort Naruto had undertaken in order to cover his tracks, but then again this was a mission far above the ones which they completed as Team 7. Even then, she was absolutely sure that he would be using the henge of which she had made a sketch. She blinked in surprise when one of her shadow clones dispelled, as images of a large 7-story multi-cuisine restaurant started appearing inside her mind. Scanning the nearby areas, Kurenai was easily able to identify the giant structure of the restaurant located on the far east side from her position. Now that she thought about it, that place would easily make a great scouting position and could be a gold mine for collecting information. People in this island were generally too loud and mouthed, and gossip was like a daily virus that had affected every person that had ever lived or arrived here for entertainment. Casting a quick glance to her stash, she verified that she had enough currency, as nothing in the world ever came for free. Not even information. Well, she could use her good looks to charm a lot of men and get what she wanted, but that would attract too much attention towards her, as if she already didn't have enough perverts looking at her like a piece of meat to be enjoyed. Besides, the whole point was to be discreet in order to maintain Naruto's cover and not jeopardize his mission. Finishing her soft drink, she quickly took off towards the direction the restaurant was situated in. A newly found excitement arose in her heart, as her hope to meet Naruto was reinforced. Gone was the tired expression on her face, and in turn was replaced by a vibrant smile as she finished her journey. And was now standing in front of the large restaurant. It sure as hell didn't look cheap, and a small part of her felt a little uneasy as another possibility for Naruto's visit to this place came in her mind. No, he won't do that, thought Karin confidently, as she entered the restaurant. While her clothing was certainly odd in comparison to the people dining in the place, it didn't stop most of the men from ogling at her. Before they were harshly scolded by their female companions, who in turn glared daggers at her. Instead of feeling assaulted, she simply got a smirk on her face and swayed her hips a little just to make the already fuming females more jealous. Oh, she was definitely going to enjoy this vacation a lot. Walking straight towards the reception area, she was greeted by a young redhead woman. She appeared to be in her mid-20s and was giving her a warm, welcoming smile. "How may I help you, miss?" questioned the woman politely, but froze when Karin simply raised one finger towards her. When she was sure the woman was in her genjutsu, Karin decided to start her investigation while keeping an eye on her surroundings. She slowly slipped the sketch from her pouch and offered it to the hypnotized receptionist. "Have you seen this boy here?" asked Karin quickly, and was surprised when she received a positive nod. "Yes, his name's Yoshida. He frequently visits here with a girl," answered the receptionist passively. The woman had no idea what was happening to her or why she was divulging client information to a mere civilian. Karin's eyes narrowed on the last part, the anxiety and nervousness returning back with full force as a small part of her heart suddenly felt quite insecure. Surely, Naruto would not bring just any woman to such an expensive restaurant. Maybe it was for the sake of his mission Oregon. Her heart sank on the mere thought of that dreadful possibility. It was fair to say that their last meeting in Wave didn't let them part on a happier note, and she had fully slammed him quite hard for his mistakes. Had she been too harsh on him? Did he really move on? Was he in love with someone else? She needed answers now. "This girl, does she have a name?" asked Karin icily, as the receptionist became silent for a few seconds before her face lit up like a Christmas tree, further adding to Karin's frustration. "Yeah, her name was Haku." The woman certainly blanched when Karin gave a very sweet smile to her. "Get me the videotapes, please. And be discreet," commanded Karin, as the receptionist simply gave a faithful nod and went towards the back corridor of the restaurant. Meanwhile, the genjutsu mistress was feeling a series of emotions passing through her heart ranging from anger, jealousy, suspicion, fear, and many more negative emotions. What troubled her was that she had never felt like this before in her entire life. She knew Naruto was handsome and kind, and if only the females of Konoha had not considered him a pariah they would have known how wonderful he was. Did someone else realize the diamond which Naruto was? Now that he was out of the village and had adopted an entirely new identity, it only raised her fears that he had moved on, or at least trying to move on from his dark past in Konoha. But he was supposed to be hers. Whatever problems they were facing, they could have sorted it out. Then why did he start seeing another woman? Was she more beautiful than her? Did those two really get along well? Her rational mind was advising her to calm down, as all of this could just be another one of Naruto's acts for the sake of his mission, but her heart was quite another story. She felt betrayed. She and Naruto had been through so much together, shared each other's pain, and been each other's support for years. They were friends, partners, lovers, and so much more. He certainly wouldn't throw it all away for another woman. So many questions with no answers in sight. However, her misery was temporarily stopped when the receptionist returned with a single videotape and secretly passed it back to her. Karin gave the woman a gracious tip and booked a table for two for the next day in order to make her visit seem genuine, which the receptionist was more than happy to register. As she walked out of the restaurant, a strange sense of anger started rising in her. If anything went wrong, then the world would have one less Uchiha to deal with. Haku and Naruto peacefully strolled through the markets of Saizukuma Island. The young Kunoichi couldn't help but smirk on seeing the annoyed look plastered on Naruto's face. Shopping was one of his least favorite activities, and for the past few weeks Nono had been repeatedly sending him for such a simple errand along with Haku. At one point of time, he had even presumed she was trying to set him up with Haku. And she had good reasons behind it. Both of them were almost the same age, were orphans, missing ninjas as well as criminals. Despite these familiar traits, they were people who had known the pain of being alone and discarded from society. Social pariahs. Naruto had also noticed Haku was always writing something in a personal diary since the past few weeks. "Are you trying to write something?" asked Naruto suspiciously, speaking for the first time. "Yeah, I have some free time these days, so I'm kind of writing a silly novel. It's nothing more than a hobby," confessed Haku with a shy smile, making him raise one of his eyebrows. "What's it about?" Now that was surprising. It was quite unusual for the uncaring Naruto to be so interested in her personal life. But since both of them had nothing better to do right now, and there was no hidden danger in this activity, she decided to talk to him. He was a decent guy to have a conversation with. It's about people who are not able to adjust in society due to different reasons. The main character is quite complicated, he's kind of like you," said Haku jokingly. "You sure you're not making a story about my life?" asked Naruto bemusedly, but deep down the idea seemed quite interesting to him. It was quite intriguing how people viewed him as a person. "Nah, not exactly," said Haku nonchalantly, and was surprised when he sighed in relief. "That's good, because it probably won't have a fairy tale-like ending," said Naruto mysteriously, a faint smile adoring his handsome face. "What makes you say that?" asked Haku curiously, but he simply shrugged his shoulders. "Call it a hunch," replied Naruto nonchalantly. Haku could not help but stare at him as he walked forward. Among all the people she had known in her life, Naruto was perhaps the most complicated and mysterious person. There was simply no definite category in which she could put him. On one hand, he was Zabuza's murderer, but was also the one who helped the young children of the orphanage, and gave her a new chance at redemption. He was respectful to her and never raised a single lecherous glance at her. She could easily see the burden which he carried on his shoulders. Even then, he was searching for his promised land, to get away from the shit he was caught up in. Many people called him a traitor, monster, butcher, but all she could see was a young boy who was simply drifting in the different directions where his destiny was sending him. He was quite accurate when he guessed she was writing a book on him. Guess a small part of her heart had fallen for his charm. How could she not like him, when he had been so kind, friendly towards her? In an indefinite way, he was her first friend and perhaps crush. But deep down she knew that was where the curtain would fall. Just looking in his eyes was enough to show he was in love with someone else, and was quite loyal towards her. Despite the months of his stay around this island, Naruto had never once visited the special comfort houses which were quite famous for various kinds of pleasure. He would instead spend time with Ria and the other young orphans, their innocent smiles bringing a little light back in his dark life. "Hey, Haku. I'm kind of tired, I can't take this shopping anymore. Can I go now?" asked Naruto tiredly, and showed the bundle of bags he was holding. You're admitting defeat?" questioned Haku bemusedly, as he sighed. "Sure, you win the bet. I simply can't deal with this. I'll take these groceries back to Nono, see you later," said Naruto quickly, and before she could say something he ran off with impressive speed. Her eyebrows twitched on seeing him fleeing like this. Guess even a mysterious person like Naruto had some common traits that all men possessed. "Slacker," cursed Haku, and started walking towards another store. She had barely walked for more than 2 minutes, when her ninja senses kicked in as she felt a presence around her. Her years of training as a tracker ninja easily showed that the person was a ninja with quite high chakra levels. Either she was careless, or was deliberately revealing her position. Whatever the reason may be, she decided to deal with the situation immediately and in a secluded corner so that no innocents get caught in the crossfire, if it escalated to a fight. Ninja battles were quite famous for mass destruction, and any damage here would only attract the attention of the authorities who were hell-bent on projecting these islands as a safe, happy, entertainment center. She had just been relieved from living a life on the run, and was quite determined to prevent attracting any more ninjas towards her or the orphanage, and most of all towards Naruto. Turning around a few corners, she stepped into an isolated alley where her pursuer was waiting for her. The person's face was not visible due to the lack of light in the dark corners, but judging from the body structure and beautiful smell, this was definitely a woman. Haku was surprised when a pair of dark ruby-colored eyes opened. And in that moment she knew who this person was. After all, she had often caught Naruto staring at a certain woman's picture at night. "So, you're Haku," said the woman calmly, although her icy tone was certainly not quite welcoming. "And you are?" asked Haku patiently. Even if this woman was indeed the person in Naruto's picture, it didn't mean that Haku knew her name or history. Naruto had been extremely secretive about his past life in Konoha or the people he had known. "We need to talk," said the mysterious woman tersely, surprisingly gaining a nod from Haku. "So it seems. Let's go for a cup of tea," offered Haku politely. "And what makes you think I want that? Why can't we just talk over here? I have an idea as to who you are, and since you seem to know who I am, I think you have misunderstood the entire situation. So, I suggest we have a civil conversation instead of fighting for no reason, as it would surely attract the attention of the local police. And neither of us want that now, do we?" asked Haku cunningly, and smirked when the woman scowled a bit. "Fine." Nearby tea shop, 30 minutes later. When Haku had presumed Naruto was in love with someone, she hadn't imagined her to be this beautiful. The woman sitting before her was the epitome of feminine beauty combined with the deadly skills of a talented ninja. The fact that she was able to hide her presence from Haku and the unaware Naruto was quite a feat. Even if both of them were not needing chakra, they should have at least felt something, but the truth was they didn't realize she was keeping an eye on them at all. "Wow," said a surprised Haku, making Kurenai raise one of her eyebrows. "Excuse me, you are quite beautiful, Stalker-san," teased Haku mischievously, and chuckled when Kurenai's eyebrows twitched violently. "I am not a stalker, and what do you mean by beautiful?" asked Kurenai suspiciously, as Haku quickly raised her hands in surrender. "Alright, I was joking about the stalker part, but you are quite beautiful. I see why Naruto is so loyal towards you," said Haku happily. "What do you mean?" asked Kurenai curiously. "Before that, can I ask your name? It's strange having a conversation with someone whose name you don't know," confessed Haku, while Kurenai eyed her suspiciously. "Akira," lied Kurenai effortlessly. This girl may have been friendly towards her, but it didn't mean she needed to know everything. "I see," said Haku acceptantly, truly aware that the name was a lie, but it was a start regardless. "Where is Naruto?" asked Kurenai bluntly. It was no point in beating around the bush when she had clearly seen her partner shopping with the girl half an hour ago. The fact that he suddenly ran away seemed very suspicious. Had he sensed her presence? It was unlikely, since she was not needing chakra and suppressing her presence. But then again, Naruto was a veteran ANBU captain who had been in the field for years, so nothing could be assumed for sure. "At our hideout. Why do you want to meet him?" asked Haku seriously, receiving a sharp glare from the genjutsu mistress. "That's none of your business," replied Kurenai icily, making the young girl before her sigh tiredly. "Then I'm afraid we are at an impasse. It was nice meeting you, Akira-san," said Haku curtly, and was about to get up from her seat when a firm hand was placed on her right arm. Dark black eyes met sharp ruby eyes as a battle of wills was fought between the two female warriors, until the older one spoke in a relatively cool voice. "We're not done yet," instructed Kurenai icily, her weeks of experience as a captain quickly kicking in. "So, it seems," You're lying to me and I am not being too cooperative either. So I suggest we present the truth. Naruto is a friend of mine and I would be damned if I let an assassin get near him when he's the #1 target of Konoha's hit list. Even if he knows you, I am not revealing where he is unless you tell me your intentions. Explained Haku honestly, and didn't flinch when Kurenai glared at her. You're not gonna budge, are you? Asked Kurenai tiredly, the fatigue of the past few days of searching finally getting to her. No. I just want to talk to him, I have something for him. Said Kurenai honestly, as Haku looked at her for a few moments. Are you his wife or fiancé? Asked Haku in a friendly voice, and couldn't stop her chuckle when Kurenai's cheeks went bright red. It's not like that, we're complicated, finished Kurenai awkwardly, not finding the right word to describe her connection to Naruto. I believe you. Just like that? Asked a surprised Kurenai, but the girl simply shrugged. Please, I've seen him countless times staring at a picture of you. He kind of reminds me of a tragedy hero. Joked Haku, and was pleased when even Kurenai got a faint smile on her face. I guess you can call him that. Whispered Kurenai. The tea was served before them, as the former rivals gave each other a firm nod before sipping the hot drink. The tension between them was gone, as they were able to gain a common ground, which was Naruto himself. The silencing seals placed around their corners doing an effective job of keeping their conversation a secret. And just to be safe, Kurenai had also cast a genjutsu in the area around them, making them look like common civilians. How is he? Asked Kurenai hesitantly, and this time Haku gained a thoughtful look in her eyes. The young girl didn't know that with every changing expression on her face was leading to an increase in Kurenai's anxiety. Her last meeting with him in waves was close to a disaster. They had fought, she had accused him, and hurt him both physically and emotionally. And he had accepted it with a smile on his face, and even apologized for his actions. But in the past few weeks, she had quite a lot of time to think and judge his actions. Why did he lie to her? And now that she thought about it, he had no choice. It was a mission directly from the Hokage, and now that she knew what it was, Kurenai couldn't help but understand that he had protected her with his actions. And only made a mistake by ordering her to kill him, but he had rectified that and apologized, so there was no need to drag it forever. He's changing. Haku's answer certainly caught her by surprise as she looked at the girl quite anxiously, hoping to dear God that something bad had not happened. Naruto is a good person, but there is another side of him that I have seen quite a lot during the past few weeks. We're currently hiding at an orphanage which Naruto helped set up with a very kind nun. He has been regularly sending money for the young orphans since the past few years. Said Haku proudly, completely surprising Kurenai. Just how much did she not know about him? Akira-san, does Naruto dislike his parents? Asked Haku sadly, and the woman's depressed look gave her the answer. I tried to deny it, but now I see it. He dislikes them from the bottom of his heart for leaving him alone, for condemning him to a life of hell. They chose the village over him, while they are remembered as heroes, he was always viewed as a demon, a pariah. His parents are the reason for his suffering, concluded Kurenai sadly. Has he spoken about them to you? Asked Kurenai worriedly. No, he does not. But I heard one of the orphanage girls ask him about them. I was there with him and the hatred that burned in his eyes scared me. There was a lot of anger, lot of pain in those eyes. Said Haku seriously, I understand. Silence prevailed between the duo as both of them wondered what to say, when Kurenai decided to ask something that had been troubling her ever since she came to know about Haku's connection to Naruto. How do you know him? Asked Kurenai seriously. Haku didn't say anything except stare at her for a few definite seconds, her eyes searching for any kind of deception. She had also observed how lightly armed Kurenai was. If she was indeed an assassin, then she would be a fool if she thought she could take on Naruto with that much firepower only. Not to mention they had a Sannin at the orphanage, and Nono may not look tough, but she was no slouch either. Plus, there was the fact of Naruto looking at her picture with a somewhat lost look in his eyes. He certainly seemed quite attached to her. Deciding to take a gamble, she spoke in a relatively calm voice. We were enemies once. He defeated me and killed my mentor who was my only family, said Haku evasively, not revealing the exact details about her connection to Zabuza or her own identity. Kurenai seemed surprised that Naruto could be the killer of this girl's precious person, and even then, I was captured by him. With everything gone, I expected him to kill me or do many bad things since I was his prisoner, but he gave me a second chance by allowing me to serve at the orphanage. A chance to choose my own path, and so far it has turned out quite well. I may not know everything about him, but I consider him a friend, he's family, and I won't let anyone hurt him. So think twice before trying anything funny, warned Haku, her menacing glare promising a world of pain to Kurenai. Instead, she saw the woman, smiling. Thank you, for looking after him, said Kurenai gratefully, giving a short bow to the surprised girl before him. Hey, I was just being nice to him. He's done so much for me, replied Haku shyly. He does not have many friends, well, not right now. It's nice to know that he has people who look after him, despite what the world sees him as, suggested Kurenai hesitantly, as Haku shook her head vehemently. It doesn't matter what others think. We're ninjas, as such none of us are saints. Everyone has blood on their hands, even the most kind father could be a deadly assassin ninja. I don't care what he's done, he was good to me and the other unfortunate children, and in the end that's all that matters, said Haku stubbornly. True enough. Akira-san, before we go to meet him, I want you to refrain yourself from saying anything that might hurt him. He has been slowly getting his old smiles and happy behavior back by being around the kids. Plus, there's the fact about his collapsing health dash. What? Is he alright? Asked Kurenai worriedly. The mere word collapsing had sent her heart in a crazy frenzy. I don't know, he goes out for some mission and always comes back half dead at midnight. The nun who looks after him does not say anything, and I'm not much of a medic, but even I can see his health is deteriorating rapidly. So please be careful with your words and actions, suggested Haku. Kurenai cursed her fate once again when this new information was presented before her. How was she supposed to tell Naruto about the truth that he had a clone daughter, who was now dead and secretly buried? Not only that, Hiruzen had gone ahead to clear that information from Naruto's mind. What if that would affect Naruto's health badly? She definitely needed to see him now, to make sure he was safe. Her entire reason for coming here, for undertaking such a huge risk, was to reveal this treachery to Naruto, to be the one person who remained faithful to him when everyone else was lying. But now she was not so sure about her decision. Take me to him, please, said Kurenai urgently, gaining a nod from Haku. Things had just gotten from complicated to fucked up with Naruto. The young captain peacefully sat on a large stone, his serene blue eyes happily observing the two young children playing in front of him. Childhood was perhaps the best part of a person's life, and watching the smiles on these two children's faces made him proud. Because it proved that even if he had sinned, he had done some good too. This orphanage and the children living here were his salvation. By helping them have a chance at a peaceful, normal life, he was compensating for his actions of hurting other people for the greater good of Konoha. He idly wondered about his life after this operation. Hiruzen had promised to bring him back to the village as a hero. But was it really possible? He had been living in the outside world for months now, and it had shown him certain aspects which had gone unnoticed by his naive heart earlier when he accepted this mission. Even if he was a skilled ANBU captain, in the end he was still a 15-year-old teenager who lacked some insight behind the harsh truths of life. But now he was able to see them clearly. Revealing the contents of Operation Ghost would destroy the trust which the people had in the Hokages. Not only that, if the rumors about Princess Karin soon ascending to the royal throne were true, then a revolution would start very soon. Knowing that bitch and her connections to Danzo, she would not hesitate in removing Hiruzen from his post. Things were about to get a lot more complicated in Fire Country and in Konoha. After watching the same treatment being given to Gaara made him extremely angry at the ninja world. Yes, he had sworn to protect Konoha, but was it even worth it? Shin, Sai, Isane, and so many young Root ANBU had been sacrificed for that double-faced village. He had promised to protect the village for their sake and their dreams, but the harsh truth was that not even a single one of those heroes were being remembered for their greatest sacrifices. Their names vanish with the passing time. ANBU were supposed to protect from the shadows, but even they had families and loved ones. In the past he had thought himself to be a mere pawn to be used and thrown by Konoha, because he wanted to repent for killing Shin, getting Sai killed and butchering the entire Root force, while also hurting Kurenai and his friends through his actions. But now that he had forgiven himself and was moving on, he was able to see things in a broad perspective. ANBUs were not pawns but people. They could not be used so callously and not even be remembered for the sacrifice which they made for their village. They deserved that honor after sacrificing everything. And what about him? Where did he stand? Apart from his promise to Shin and Sai, why was he even risking everything to protect a village who hated him from the bottom of its heart? He could still remember that mob beating which he had received a decade ago. It still made him very angry. Maybe it was due to Kurenai, Kakashi, and his friends and family. For their sakes, he was still willing to protect a village that was corrupted from the top to bottom. Even then he couldn't help himself from seeing the bigger picture. Apart from a handful of people back in Konoha, the entire population hated him and would continue to scorn him even if Operation Ghost was revealed. If not for anything, they would blame him for forcing Hiruzen to order such a mission or even continue to call him a traitor for being a part of Root. The people of Konoha were very selfish, two-faced backstabbers. Humans whose morals were so fucked up that no amount of preaching would set them on the right path. The Uchiha clan had also faced such a treatment for years, and when they had enough and were about to rebel, Konoha used one of their own clansmen to slaughter the entire clan for the greater good. But what was the greater good? Every good person whom he had known was dead or dying, while the selfish civilian bastards and prejudicial ninjas were living happily. They were content in living in a world of lies, happy in torturing people like him, placing all the blame on a few unfortunate souls just so they could live happily. And to think his own parents had not only died for such ungrateful bastards, but also sacrificed him happily. It was quite ironic that in the past he had thought himself to be a pawn, since his own parents had seen him as such. He definitely had some self-esteem issues. But not anymore. It was not him who he was wrong, but it was the world which was fucked up. Wani-chan. The combined voice of the two children before him snapped him out of those depressing thoughts. A fond smile came on his lips as he saw Ria and a 4-year-old Ken standing before him. The two innocent children had such beautiful smiles on their faces. Ria was holding a sunflower in her hands, while the little Ken was holding a fine paper plane in his little hands. And they were giving it to him. Kneeling before the two young children, he flashed them a bright smile while placing each of his hands on their heads and gently ruffling their hair, earning small giggles from them. "Are these for me?" asked Naruto happily, gaining 2 eager nods. "I brought these flower for you, Ni-chan," said Ria happily. I made this plane," said Ken hesitantly. The little boy seemed quite unsure about his own handiwork as he worriedly compared his gift to Ria's. Naruto easily saw through both children, and couldn't help but feel at home. This was a world which he wanted to live in, a world free of lies, a world of love and compassion. A world where people didn't betray each other for any possible reason. A gentle world. He wanted to build such a world for Kurenai, for her to live freely. Something which was impossible in the ninja world and its corrupt system of hatred and greed. He gently caressed Ria's soft cheeks, earning a soft giggle from her. "This flower is quite beautiful like you, thank you, Ria-chan," replied Naruto gratefully, and he could practically sense the other little boy looking at him. "What about me? What about me?" asked Ken repeatedly, anxiety easily visible in the boy's face. "This plane is also quite cool. You'll be a great artist someday," Ken-kun praised Naruto, earning a bright smile from the young dark black-haired boy. He was extremely pleased to see the victorious smirks on their faces as they gave each other a high five. Looking at the accumulated dirt on their clothes and bodies, an idea came in his mind. "You two need a bath," suggested Naruto, and got up from his previous kneeling position. "Ni-chan, give me a hug before we go for a bath, please," requested Ria politely, and raised her arms expectantly. "Me too, Ni-chan," said Ken quickly, and repeated the same action. They were delighted when Naruto merely chuckled a bit while picking them up with the help of his strong arms. Both young children quickly encircled their hands around his neck for support while nuzzling closer to his warm chest. His strong arms provide a protective feeling. Naruto was quite pleased with the way Ria had grown up. He could still remember the lone blonde girl whom he had found in Wave. She was so lonely and surrounded by the hyenas that were Gato and his thugs, but now she had a home and friends whom she could depend on. He had never seen a child so happy. Helping set up this orphanage was perhaps the best decision he had made in his life. "You two sure are getting bigger," complimented Naruto. "Just wait, Ni-chan, I'll get stronger than you one day," promised Ria confidently, as Ken glared at her. "Ria," chided the young boy, who seemed to admire Naruto and considered him his idol. He kind of reminded Naruto of a young Konohamaru. "Alright, no fighting. Ria, you're the elder sister, so you have to teach Ken all sorts of things," advised Naruto sagely. "I will, Ni-chan," said Ria excitedly, as Naruto's gaze shifted towards the young boy in his arms. "And Ken, you're the boy, so you have to protect your sister," suggested Naruto with a kind smile on his face. Promise me," requested Naruto, earning two confident nods, which in turn resulted in the young children receiving a warm hug and soft kiss from their foster elder brother and caretaker. Kurenai was simply left speechless by the scene that was playing in front of her eyes. It was so beautiful and heartwarming that it even made a tear slip from her eye. Was this really her Naruto? She looked on her right side, only to find Haku giving her a knowing smile. "There is nothing going on between me and him, we're merely friends," clarified Haku honestly, as a faint blush crept up on the Genjutsu mistress's face on being proven wrong. She suddenly felt quite embarrassed for even suggesting such a thing. "He's a good man, Akira-san. He's an honorable man, and he loves you," said Haku calmly, while giving a reassuring squeeze on Kurenai's shoulder. "I know," said Kurenai in a relieved voice. "And I love him too," thought the Genjutsu mistress secretly, "but that does not mean that you can take him for granted, or else I'll be waiting," teased Haku, earning a sharp glare from Kurenai which only softened when she noticed the playful smile etched across the young girl's face. "Of all the people in the world, my life seems to be the most complicated," joked Kurenai, making Haku laugh. "I'm happy for you," said Haku truthfully, even if a small part of her heart was sad. But knowing that Naruto loved this woman, and seeing the concern she had for him, the right thing for her to do was step away. He deserved to be happy. She was surprised to receive a light hug from someone, and it turned out to be none other than Kurenai herself. "Thank you, Haku." The gesture was returned by the young girl, and she smirked when she saw Naruto turning around and his eyes landing on Kurenai's back. The look on the poor boy's face was simply priceless. His eyes were practically bulging out of their sockets, shock clearly evident on his face. Haku even saw him muttering, "What the fuck?" which only earned two curious questions from the young children in his arms. She gently broke the hug and offered one last smile to Kurenai, before walking towards Naruto, a playful smirk coming on her beautiful face. Reaching towards his ears, she whispered three simple words that made the boy blush crimson red. "She's all yours." Dark ruby eyes met with shocked light blue ones, and the latter's breath got hitched when the former spoke something. "It's good to see you, Naruto." Kurenai. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time. Later.